7. Let's start with
Peace, 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 peace. You already know what it is. Through the campaign, do your damn thing. You heard me? The heart's reality is live life autonomously. It's your boy, Mac Gaither, your host of the Autonomous Party Podcast live each and every Sunday. You know, summertime, we're going to be taking some breaks. You know, it's like we're going to have episodes coming soon at this phase of the game. You know what I mean? So, first Sunday of summer solstice. So, we're going to tap in live with y'all. You know what I mean? We got some things coming in the summer still, though. That's how we gonna do this summer. We aiming for some big joints to land on y'all. So we gonna be redundant. Everybody needs a summer break, right? But at the same time, though, shout out to Esther Lucy Almacario. Again, once again, the heart's reality is live life autonomously. This is the Autonomous Party. Esther Lucy Almacario is a Pacific American Maroon identity. Since we in Americas, we want to make sure that the term fitted North America. So, you know, that had to be understood. You can go to our website, though, literally, as you see, theautonomousparty.com, and you can click on our joint, and you can go to all the things that we have curated and cultivated. Pause, because we're not a cult, but we cultivated some things and systems autonomously for us and by us, for our people who self-identify what we're doing as a social organization. So we want to make sure we share that with you at the top of the summer. like the sun supposed to be at the top right now. It is the 25th, right? So being that people celebrate Christmas on December 25th, I feel it was only right that we give you that solstice vibe on the 25th of what we call June. So make sure you tap in with us. Go check out our website, theautonomousparty.com. And once again, we live inside musicmedialounge.com. And obviously Thriller Campaign and a lot of other domains will be pointing to a lot of things we got going on. Shout out to Aboriginal Wall Street.com. You know what I'm saying? And check out all the things we're building out. We got a directory coming, literally, aboriginalwallstreet.com is going to be a directory for Maroonville, you know what I'm saying, and what we're doing. So we want to make sure everybody understands that too. So again, once again, we want to appreciate everybody that's tapping in with us. Shout out to our guests that's going to be pulling up on us in a minute too, you know what I mean, in the summer. But we're gonna go ahead and play a clip, you know what I mean, a couple clips from the team, you feel me? We appreciate everybody that tapped in with us live. Shout out to Blaze, the campaign mix of the Harsh Reality is Live Life Autonomously podcast. He's obviously, he's been doing his thing, and it's for the greater. So shout out to him. Shout out to Baron P. Shout out to God of Green. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the social club, obviously. You heard me. Tap in with us. Shout out to God of Green. It's on you. This road. Yeah, we're gonna do some things though. I got something for y'all. Slide with me.
Indians, when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians were you.
The Trail of Tears isn't what most people believe it was. The Trail of Tears was a series of treaties and relocations, both forced and commercial in nature. The idea of a mass genocide isn't exactly accurate based on the records and documentation actually left behind. In fact, the Indian Removal Act of 1830 gave the President of the United States rights to negotiate with the indigenous tribes to purchase land. A majority of this was all done through usage of clever legalese, adhesion contracts, and bad business practices. The series of relocations are predominantly the Seminole, the Muskogee Creek, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, and the Cherokee. Some of the more notable treaties include the Treaty of Fort Stevens in 1816. In this treaty, the United States government purchased over 10,000 acres of land from the Choctaw, east of the Tombigbee River. As compensation, the Choctaw received $6,000 a year for 20 years, plus an additional $10,000 in merchandise. The Treaty of Doak Stand in 1820, a treaty of friendship, limits, and accommodation between the United States government and the Choctaw Nation. This was signed to resettle Indians west of the Mississippi and open up land for white settlers. They received $6,000 a year for 16 years, plus additional goods. The Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek in 1830. Possibly the biggest of these treaties, 11 million acres of land was ceded to the United States government. Those who went west were given provision and land in Oklahoma. Their trip was also paid for. Those who chose to stay became labeled as American citizens, losing their political attachment to their tribes. These relocations happened in three waves. The first wave took place from 1830 to 1831. This was during a time period known as the Winter of the Deep Snow. This seems to account for the majority of the deaths from that year. The second wave took place during the cholera outbreak around 1832. Even during this, it's documented that only about 2,500 people died during this trip out of 15,000. Now, let's look at this in context to the topic. These treaties result in the relocation of over 100,000 individuals over the Mississippi. These families move to Oklahoma where they are allotted plots which the United States Department of War at that time issued to them. As time progresses, the United States government slowly encroaches further into the freedoms of these autonomous groups of people. Indians that chose to relocate were given a semi-autonomous designation under the jurisdiction of the United States as Indian, a label placed on the Aboriginals of this land by the Spaniards. However, as for the millions of other Indians that chose to stay is where the misclassification politically takes place. In 1790, the United States government conducts its first census. In this census, there are no designations for an Indian. There was only the free people of color, which consisted of a blend of melanated groups of people who have different ethnic and national origins, and free whites, which technically only meant living in the American colonies for 2 years prior. It isn't until 1850, after the height of the Trail of Tears, when the designation of Indian and mulatto appeared. For any Indian that chose not to head west, they were classified as free people of color and mulattoes, depending on the region they came from. One could surmise that a majority of people who actually went west were Europeans, Africans, and Asians brought by the way of the coolie slave trade. It would make logical sense for families that have no ownership or ties to land outside of their tribal affiliations to accept free land and money elsewhere and to provide for their own family. To make this historical connection even more apparent, we could point to the Gullah Geechee Wars. The first of the three Gullah Geechee Wars is recorded as occurring from 1817 to 1818. The second war followed from 1835 to 1842, and the third from 1855 to 1858. The Gullah or Geechee people who fought in these wars were an amalgamation of the autochthonous or indigenous black people of the southeastern portion of the United States and Africans forcefully brought to the Americas during the transatlantic slave trade. Embarrassed by their defeats and fears that those still enslaved will ultimately join the ranks of the self-liberated maroon groups, the United States government downplayed the gravity of these military engagements and disguised the wars they fought against the black people by calling these conflicts the Seminole Wars or the Indian Wars. These soldiers, however, knew exactly who they were fighting against. They defined Seminole to mean a domesticated animal who escapes to a wild existence, albeit some Reconstructionist historians contend that the name Seminole is actually etymologically related to the name Moor, a melanated people responsible for bringing into existence the European Renaissance. In reality, the word comes from the Muskegon word Yak Seminole, which means free people. Moreover, during the second so-called Seminole War, the American general, Thomas Sidney Jessup, wrote a letter to the self-appointed Indian killer, Andrew Jackson, warning him and his colleagues that this, you may be assured, is a Negro and not an Indian war. And if it be not put speedily down, the South will feel the effects of their slave population before the end of next season. After years of war and broken treaties, the Dawes Commission of 1893 was established by the United States Congress to prepare the way to dissolve tribal government and reassigning tribal lands to individual ownership. By 1898, Indian tribes were governed by federal law and were no longer an autonomous entity. The Dawes Allotment Act and the Curtis Act enabled federal government to set up courts and enforce federal laws in Oklahoma Indian Territory. These were novel ideas to the Indian tribes who believed all land was held in common as tribal property. Each member of the tribe was allowed to use any amount he felt he needed. Some tribal members had cattle ranches and used thousands of acres. Others cultivated only 10 acres. To receive an allotment of land in the acts, Indians needed to enroll with the Dawes Commission by tribes. Smaller tribes who considered themselves to be separate and unique tribes were enrolled with larger tribes. One such tribe was the Yuchi. The Yuchi tribe was enrolled with the Muskogee Creek tribe as Creek Indians. Not all Indians enrolled, however. Some tribal members went even as far as to renounce their Indian identity. Some protested by not enrolling because they did not want allotment of tribal land.
I wish learning this information
This may lead one to ask, are there any other pieces of information or facts that show a connection to the so-called Negro and the Indian?
So, based on these set of statistics that were kept by the Union Agency of the Indian Territory, okay, as of November 8th, 1877, there were 3,500 freedmen in just the Cherokee Nation. Now, the terms that they use are interesting because the Cherokees noted it as Black Indians by treaty. That's how we referred to them. The Creeks are referred to as Black Indians by treaty. There were 2,500 of them. Choctaws, notice the pivot. Negroes emancipated by the Treaty of 1866. There were 4,000 Choctaws. Chickasaws were also noted as Negroes emancipated by the Treaty of 1866. There were 2,300 of them. Seminoles were considered Black Indians by treaty. There were 506. And when you total it all together, that's more than 12,000 freedmen. As of 1877, within 11 years of the Treaty of 1866, there were 12,000 of us. What does this look like when you get to the Dawes Commission? Oh, let's talk about it, okay? There were 3,900 plus Cherokee freedmen who were on the approved Dawes roll. This is not accounting in individuals who were rejected, okay? There were 5,000 plus Choctaws. There were almost 5,000 Chickasaws, over 5,500 Creeks, and 950 Seminoles. That means that there were 20,000 of us by 1906. And that was just the people who were approved. You're looking at photos of actual people who were enrolled by the Dawes Commission. If you start
Actual people, you heard.
Phil Riley, who was a Creek, right?
Shout out to Tecumseh, Red Summer, Dialogue Part 4. You did. Telling you it's heat, like my hat. It's heat on that video. You know what I mean? Go tap in, subscribe to us. You know what I mean? Go watch all the dialogues, actually. You know what I mean? We're going to be bringing up pieces of things that's in that dialogue I don't think people might be paying attention to. But just for, you know, I don't want to cuss, or something and giggles. But you're going to hear me cuss anyways, right? So shits and giggles. The, yes, Red Summer, Dialogue 4, it's all in there. Break it down. A lot of things that happen to our people. You know what's going on. Tonight we're going to get into some things too. I'm going to show some things tied to some free people of color. Shout out to Opie. You know what I mean? Because Opie just dropped a new one. He dropping heat. I'm telling you, it's the summertime. You know, what, part 5, right? Of the Land and Acres edition. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, part 5. So make sure you go check that out. You know, he just dropped like, you know, a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? Outside of us doing a live show, we got productions coming. Now, shout out to the party. You know what I mean? This is for those who are into genealogy and autonomously want to get a one-on-one understanding what to look for, what to read into. But I think Opie is trying to walk you down that path. He did. So tap in with him. We're gonna play a little quick, clip of that real quick. You know what I'm saying? Tap in with us. Be right back.
Napi. Welcome back to another episode of Uncovering Your Roots with the Autonomous Party Genealogy 101. And I am your host, Opie Miha. So we're going to continue on with the Land and Acres edition. I believe this is going to be part 5. All right. So if you remember last time, I went to the end of the list and we're going to continue on. So we're in a different section. And the family that we're going to start on first is going to be the Walden family, as you can see on the screen. All right, so let's go down and get into the information about the land. So let's scroll down a little bit here. All right, so we got somebody, as you can see, his name is Bartholomew Chavis Walden. It says he was born about 1748, called Bat C. Walden in 1782, when he was taxable on 60 acres in Dinwiddie County, and called Bat Chavis when he sold this land in 1787. All right, so again, here in brackets, you can see the source where you can go look up this information. And again, it looks like the area was Dinwiddie. All right, Dinwiddie County. So let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. And let's see who we got next. So this is going to be William Walden. All right, so let's go down. This is William Walden. He received a patent for 43 acres on the south side of Cypress Swamp in Surrey County on July 11, 1761. So again, I want to stress this. Pay attention to the dates. Pay attention to the dates. Pay attention to, obviously, the names. Also pay attention to the time, the area, the actual areas that we're looking into. Okay. It says he received a patent for 43 acres on the south side of Cypress Swamp in Surrey County on July 11, 1761, and a patent for 27 acres on August 7, 1761. And then here in these brackets, you can see the patent information where you can find this. And it says on June 14, 1762, he sold the 43 acres to David DeBricks, and the following day his wife Sarah relinquished her dower rights to this land in the Surrey County Court. He was called William Walden, carpenter, on December 21st, 1762, when he purchased 194 acres adjoining his land. Again, here in brackets, you can see the time frame. And it says his February 8th, 1775 will proved June 27th, 1775 in Surrey County left 221 acres of land to his wife Sarah, and after her death to his 3 sons, William, Michael, and Drury. It also named his son John and daughters Priscilla and Ellender. All right, let's go ahead and skip through this. All right, we just read that information. All right. Okay, so we're going to jump to Sarah Walden. So Sarah Walden was taxable in Surrey County from 1782 to 1787. Again, pay attention to the dates. Taxable on a slave named Glasgow in 1782. Taxable on slaves Sarah and Nanny in 1788. Taxable on slave Aggie in 1791. Taxable on a horse from 1792 to 1798. Again, in brackets, you can see your source. And taxable on 147 acres from 1782 to 1787. Again, land tax list. And it says she was deceased by 1814 when her estate was taxable. Again, here you could see land tax list 1782 to 1820. So, I ask you to look up this information, go to freeafricanamericans.com, go through the families, search the word acre, and just go through all these and the sources. All right, so let's go ahead and skip ahead. All right. So it looks like we got, let me see who this is, Micaiah Walden. All right, let's skip down here. To where we get to the good stuff. It says he was head of a Northampton County household of 5 other free in 1790 and 8 other free and a slave in 1800. His will proved in December 1806. In Northampton County, left 94 acres of land in Northampton County to his wife Martha and William Walden, and left land in Surrey County, Virginia to his brother Drury. All right, so let's go ahead and skip again. All right, so now we got David Walden. David Walden, born say 1735, a mulatto, was married before November 21st, 1758, when he was presented by the Surrey County Court for failing to pay tax on his wife. He may have been the David Walden who purchased 124 acres on the Occoneechee Swamp in Northampton County, North Carolina. And it says on February 19, 1796 for 60 pounds, and sold this land on September 4th, 1798. He purchased 202 acres adjoining his land on December 2nd, 1798 for 50 pounds. Sold this land on September 4th, 1799 for 31 pounds. And was head of a Moore County household of one other free in 1800. His children may have been. All right, so we're going to skip that. Jump to the next one. Now we got John Chavis Walden. Born, say, 1742, was taxable on 125 acres in Dinwiddie County in 1782. It says land tax list in brackets, and then there's the dates. He purchased 70 acres in Warren County, North Carolina, on the east side of the Causeway Branch on April 23rd, 1782, and purchased 125 acres on the west side of Smiths Creek in Warren County for 40 pounds on February 27, 1783. He sold, signing the 125 acres for 50 pounds on November 1st, 1785. Again, in brackets, your source. He was taxable on 460 acres and one pole in Warren County in 1784, and taxable on 75 acres and no poles in 1786. All right, again, in brackets, you can see your sources. He purchased 3 tracts of land in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, 400 acres joining the Warren County line on December 26, 1785 for 120 pounds, and 1.5 acre lot on the south bank of the Roanoke River on the west side of the road leading to Christopher Haskins Ferry on July 9, 1782 for 12 pounds, and 110 acres on the Warren County line and the head branches of Cotton Creek for 55 pounds on January 8, 1795. All right, let's go ahead and skip again. So we read all this.
Shout out my man
We
Opie.
read.
Got to go chop in with that series. It's methodical. The fact that he takes the time to do it and read through all that and goes through each part. If you follow the series, for you to go do it for yourself, he's laying it out in certain cases for those, if you know type thing. You know what I mean? So you got to appreciate what he's even doing to just give you that autonomy to go follow behind it in your own manner, what you're looking for and searching for through surname in different states and different records. And he's telling you where to go. We go back to what he started, because he didn't just get here overnight with all the stuff he's been dropping. You know what I mean? So shout out to Tecumseh, shout out to Opie, shout out to Nine Ethan, shout out to Monte, shout out to all the ladies, shout out to all the ladies of the party, and all the members too. You know who you is. You know what I mean? Tapped in with us. Shout out to everybody that supports what we doing. Subscribe, like, and share, and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? Don't forget, you on Facebook, you can tap into the Autonomous Party store. That's right. You can find it. It's called the Autonomous Party store. We got merchandise available. You know what I mean? We don't really promote, it to you like that, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? If you like it, tap in with it, support it. We appreciate it. At the same time, Maroonville too, which we showed you earlier on our website. We had that not only set up. It's a community type of vibe, and obviously once a year, what we do, last year, actually this year, I'm tripping at the end of February, our Autonomous Party meetup. We're gonna call it Maroonville, and we're gonna grow it to a point where we got a lot of people showing up to it. You know what I'm talking about? So that's a once a year thing. We want people to tap in with that, and obviously on the other things that we're doing with Maroonville and Aboriginal Wall Street included in real time. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Estelusti, Macario. Shout out to all Maroons out there. Shout out to Tavis Sanders last week. Came in and we were talking about some things, indigenous people, and some politics and laws and stuff like that. You feel me? Appreciate him for tapping in. Shout out to his family. Make sure you go check out www.indu.org. You know what I'm saying? INDE. I always mess it up myself when I try to spell it out sometimes. For real, I can say it better than I spell it, so I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? That's what's messed up about it. Like, I ain't gonna lie. It's like a tricky thing, you know what I'm saying? IndyU.org. That's how I end that. IndyU.org live. Yeah, Travis Sanders. You know what I mean? We got that highlighted too, so if you want to go check the spelling, it's there. You know what I mean? Because I might mess it up. I don't want to mess it up even more. I mess it up every time. But shout out to him, man. Obviously, you know, what we tapping in tonight, it's obviously the first Sunday based off of the fact that the 21st, as we said earlier, you know what I mean, which was on Wednesday. And a lot of people were pushing for what the federal holiday, which so happened to be on the 19th, which was Monday. And then obviously the Father's Day was on the 18th. So it was a lot of, jumbled up stuff going on, going into what we call the summer. You know what I'm saying? And to dissect all of it, not even the fact that something very, hit the waves or the news going into the solstice. Something that historically just tied to some ancient situation in my mind. When I say ancient, see, I shouldn't do that, right? Because people are like, man, that's not ancient. No, it's not ancient like the mounds or nothing. But it's when I say it's not in my time frame of living. So it's before me, and it happened in real history. You know what I mean? Of some people jumping on a ship and something sinking. You know what I mean? So you want to play that clip real quick? Because we got to play that real quick. And I felt like, you know what I mean, the man that did this joint, because I'm non-biased to information, he covered it. I don't think I can say it better than what he said it. That made me say with the emoji, whatever you might use in your chat box and shit like that. Things that make me say You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go ahead and tap in with that real quick. Tap in. Check this out.
Have you heard the theory of the Titanic and the Federal Reserve? Well, here it goes. So on the Titanic, there's some extremely wealthy passengers like J.P. Morgan, John Rockefeller, and the Rothschilds. But then you have Jacob Astor, the wealthiest man in the world at the time. He owned about 40% of all mortgages, and he was a Freemason who was very opposed to the idea of a central bank. Whereas J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschild strongly supported the idea of a central bank. So Jacob Astor was the only one standing in the way of a central bank at the time. Coincidentally, the morning the Titanic was supposed to set sail, J.P. Morgan, some Rothschilds, and others quietly exited the ship without any explanation. 5 days later, Titanic slams into an iceberg and it starts to sink. And even though Jacob Astor is the wealthiest man in the world, he still can't find a seat in a lifeboat, and he ends up sinking with the ship. Shortly after, these guys become the wealthiest men in the world, and without Jacob Astor standing in their way, the next year in 1913, on Jekyll Island in Georgia, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law, paving the way to print money out of thin air and completely control our monetary system. Was this a coincidence or a conspiracy?
God, I got another one. I think I got another one. He got back to back. I'm gonna give him back to back real quick. We're gonna slide this in. Yeah, it's the same guy. Hold on. I got the same guy. I'm gonna see if this is what's gonna follow up to. But that's the historical part now. People need to understand what he said on that one. Hey, that's what he said. Don't be mad at me. I'm just sharing the information, right? So now, I got another one from his same TikTok. Everybody be on TikTok these days. These shorts and stuff, right? So sometimes I like to catch what they say, and we're gonna talk about it, and say, hey, what you think about that? Tell me what you think. Interesting. Is the sources standing up to what he's saying? I mean, I think what he said about the Titanic, that's a real source situation. I mean, just anybody that didn't know about it, just in case you didn't know, because what's tied to was recently the people who decided to go down to see the Titanic. It's like that's what we showed that first because he covered that part, right? But today, this week, big news. Unfortunately, say some people, obviously lost their lives. You know what I mean? Dealing with taking a chance to go down and see something in history, such as what happened with the Titanic and how it sunk. That's the backdrop to it. They call it B side of music, right? But on the front side of it, we just know about most people popularly know that, the Titanic sunk and hit an iceberg. They might not even know about all those wealthy people that was tied to it. You know what I'm saying? So I want to just highlight that for the summer. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody literally went down to see this ship that was supposed to sink by at Titanic. Is this the same one? I'm trying to make sure. Play a little bit of it. Play a little bit of it. I think he covered the new one too. That's what I'm trying to think. I think it's the same. I might be off. If I'm off, I apologize. But I think he uncovered both real quick. If it's not, we'll keep it moving. Let me see.
Theory of the Titanic and the Federal Reserve.
No, he does.
Here
It's
it
the same
goes.
one. It's the same one. So, you know, again, I think historically though, because I always want to make sure the historical part is put in there. There's all sorts of other things that's going on with you know, the ship and what happened, you know, but historically the people that went down to see it, you know, it's tied to what the man did present. Man, I wish I had the other one. I'm slipping. But either way, though, I apologize for that. Because, you know, we got a clip. They probably wouldn't like us to put it there anyways. Maybe everything happens for a reason. You know what I'm saying? But however the case might be, we're going to go ahead and, before we pull up, you know, our guest tonight, we're going to go ahead and pull up the next joint. Yeah. Give me that. It's the solstice. Yeah, the solstice. So all this went down over the solstice. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of solstice things we could talk about. We did record a room because I know I wasn't going to be able to cover extensively on our show, even though you know, we're going to be trying to work that out to get it more extensively covered here with the sources so everybody can always have it. You know what I mean? On this level of and we shout out again everybody that's tapping in, subscribing to what we're doing. You gonna show the YouTube joint first? You gonna show the no? Give me the source, and then we gonna show play that before we bring up our guests. You know what I'm saying? Let's show the we going to Ohio. Shout out to Opie again. We did the Free People of Color joint. It's we did with the Serpent Mounds, and we were telling the folk on Wednesday on the 21st. You know, because shout out to God of Green Meat. We went to Louisiana, Monroe County, and we went to the Bird Mound, right? God. Popularly, most people would know that as Poverty Point, right? We happened to went that weekend, and when to be no cap, when we went, did you really put all these things together at the time when we was going there, thinking about like the fact that it was the solstice weekend, we was on top of the mound that weekend? Did you ever think about that? Exactly, me either. Ain't gonna lie, no cap. It hit me. It's like, wait a second, this was going on. That's how it happened. When we went there, we were going for another reason. I'll be honest. I got no cap. We was going for more political and other things involved. You know what I'm saying? But when we got there, we got the ceremony and the cultural part of it. It's like, oh, the next day we're going to the Poverty Point, and we realized what weekend it is. We're like, hold up, it's the solstice, June 19th weekend. It was a weekend, 2000 what? Like, was it 2009, 10, somewhere in there? It was a Saturday though. It was a Saturday, whatever year it was. You got the almanac joint too? Give me a solstice almanac, man. So people don't think we capping. You know what I mean? The almanac, every year they got an almanac, you know what I'm saying, that comes out, right? And it's tied to the solstice. So, but first, real quick though, on this source right here, the Serpent Mound. We're taking you to a national historical landmark built by the ancient American Indians of Ohio. You know what I mean? Aboriginal people. You feel me? The effigy mound in the form of a snake. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you, this is one of the most, people be going all around the world to see things. But this is something that I ain't gonna lie, I do want to make sure I see before, you know what I mean, it's all said and done. I want to see this effigy. So Ohio, I'm coming to see you. You heard me? And it says, the Serpent Mound's indigenous builders likely created the mound in alignment with the sun cycle. You know what I mean? And to mark the June 21st summer solstice, the longest day of the year, we're again partnering with the Shawnee tribe and the Eastern Shawnee tribe of Oklahoma to bring you programming that showcases the significance of Serpent Mound as a sacred American Indian site. Did you just catch how they just said the Shawnee tribe and they said Oklahoma? Because most time when people talk about Oklahoma, God, they don't even mention the Shawnee, do they? You feel me? But the Shawnee are in Oklahoma. Do even people know there's some Shawnee? Shout out to Tecumseh again. You know what I mean? Other Shawnee. You know what I mean? The Pan-Indigenous Alliance. You know what I mean? He predicted comments. That's why you go watch that dialogue, part 4, by coincidence, by the person we call Tecumseh. You feel me? But at the same time, as that shit, you know, all lay out. You feel me? It says speakers are planned. And this is a whole event they're doing. This is in, the time frame when they're doing this is recently. You know what I mean? This park. You probably did it this year if you didn't know about it or if you're from that area, tap in and go check it out, right? It's the speakers of the 4-day event. So it's a whole festival type of thing. You know what I mean? And last week we just broke down with going into the what they call June 19th, the federal holiday thing that's being celebrated the day after Father's Day, you know what I'm saying, dealing with something in 1865, that certain things ain't going to correlate, you know what I mean? And we only want to make sure you understand that, we know that indigenous people, copper colored, you know what I'm saying, indigenous people, been celebrating based off the fact from an indigenous cultural standpoint, the solstice, kind of like the Dogons we met when we went out there, you feel me? Who had proof that they knew about the Sirius AB prior to there being telescopes and shit. You know what I'm saying? So obviously our people have been celebrating the sun cycle prior to what we call European cultures or technologies. You know what I mean? And if anybody the moon cycles, sun cycles, the Venus, you know what I mean? Because the Mayans and the Olmec, you know what I mean, they had a couple of different calendars to let you know that they was tapping in on, they were charting many different astronomical things. You know what I mean? But the solstice has happened to be one of them on the sun cycle side of it. The June solstice. In the northern hemisphere, the June solstice, aka summer solstice, occurs when the sun travels along the northernmost path in the sky. This marks the astronomical start of summer in the northern half of the globe. In the southern hemisphere, it's opposite. The June solstice marks the astronomical start of winter when the sun when the sun is at its lowest point in the sky. Shout out to my daughter. She, you know what I'm saying, she got tattooed this weekend, you know what I mean? Yeah. And at least I could say I was there. Since I'm a good parent. I went.
It was a small tattoo.
It's a small joint. It's nothing. It's nothing. She could. I had to hold her hand and all that. You know what I'm saying? I felt proud as a father to be there for this occasion. Constant evolution of life. Constant evolution of life, though. She got the soul joint. What's on my hand? Feel me? She got the soul joint. It's on my hand. She got it. She just first. Hey, all right. Anyways, experience. You know what I mean? First weekend of the summer, I can remember this year. Memorably. Yeah, God. So crazy. Yeah, she wanted one and was like, okay, you're gonna keep going about it, you're gonna go about it this way. You feel me? I'm gonna be a parent about it. You know what I'm talking about? She's 19, about to be 20. I gotta deal with this a certain way. You're gonna be, together with it. I did mine on my own. I did all my tats and everything on my own. My dad actually wanted to hurt me, I think, the first time I did it. He looked at me like, nigga, what the fuck? Excuse my French. I apologize. Excuse my French.
When I went to get my shit, I went to a nigga in the back of the salon. What the fuck
I don't know. Hey, listen, I got a tattoo. I got a tattoo right here. Look, you can see it. You see this tattoo, y'all? That's actually my name, Mac. It's so bold, you would think I went through a fraternity to get it. You know what I'm saying, or something? How deep the man went. It was I don't know what I was thinking at the time. We just wanted tattoos back in them days. We were young. Anyways, though, at the same time, I got 13 tattoos. I had to count them after she said, "How many tattoos you got?" I said, "Damn, I have to count them. You're gonna make me count." So I happen to have 13. You know what I'm talking about? But however the case might be, be back to the solstice though. So the solstice is there. You know what I mean? And all that stuff is laid out. You feel me? So we moving forward. We're moving forward real quick. Let's keep it moving. I want to show the video. We're gonna do a little honoring to the summer solstice joint. We ain't gonna harp on it because if you're dealing with the traditions of it, it should be like a natural thing to you by now. You feel me, God? Like we ain't going like, oh my God, like like it's something we don't do. I celebrate the solstice and the winter solstice and the equinoxes every year. It's like my cross. I promise you. I ain't Jesus, but I stand on the cross too. Feel me? I wasn't hung on it though. I stand near the tree in the center of the cross. You feel me? Serpent Mound though. Check it out. Tap in. Crazy. Crazy. I'm telling you, that Serpent Mound joint, I had to make sure you got that. You know what I mean? So again, like, that's a historical site. You know, we went to Poverty. That's a bird. Poverty Point. You go research Poverty Point. It's a bird mound. Feel me? Shatu Pop, you know, might say, Mac, that's an owl mound. You feel me? Owl Mecca. You know what I'm saying? It's the owl mound where everybody met at. You know what I'm saying? It was a very big place when you go research. It's funny that they gave it Poverty Point in the first place. You feel me? Like, that's that slave narrative shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's but mound building people meeting and coming together, for solstices such as how we did that year. You know what I'm saying? But however the case might be, though, you know what I'm saying? Because when you live in it, you know what it is. Shout out to the mound building culture, because when you deal with any of these astronomical cultural things, and you look at what the mound building culture left for us to still see today, it's tied to these cycles, so that you know that they were highly civilized people. You know what I'm talking about? Just off the fact that you being as above, so below in your thought process of alignments of structures and effigies and temples, etc., throughout time, lets me know that you on some high, high science to me. That's just me. That might not mean that to the materialistic person, but however, I just want to make sure I put that out there. Shout out to the mound building culture, the Southern cult. You heard me? Shout out to Escalustia, Macario, all my indigenous people out there. Shout out all my Maroons out there, especially mines. It's in North America that went through what we went through, the one drop rule. You hear me? The one drop rule, the Negro one drop rule. Yeah, we got that in common, definitely. You ready? Let's pull up. So we got our guests tonight. I got ladies with us tonight, so y'all hold on now. Take time with us. I got two ladies with us tonight for our conversation piece. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey.
How you doing,
Y'all
Shay?
hear me? Oh, I'm doing good.
I hear you
doing good.
That's what's up. Thank you for popping up on us. You feel me?
Peace.
Hey, Library, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Oh, perfect.
I want to make sure I can hear everybody great, you know what I'm saying? And everybody with us. Thank you for tapping in. Oh, so no, we're gonna let's just do the three real quick before we go into things. Right? You know what I'm saying? So thank y'all ladies both, because obviously I've met you both. I want people to know where y'all both are from, so everybody can get a little background on that part and where you're representing your culture and obviously your heritage and everything that you're tied to the conversation, so people can know that it's not just like from my area, or we don't try to be biased, because we got people everywhere that we've met, especially on Clubhouse, with these type of topics, in genealogy, heritage, history, etc. So Shay, since you right there, I know your mic's open. I know where you're from, but let the people know where you're from, and you know what I mean, real quick, and all that stuff about you real quick, please.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Shay Pink 40. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, but my family on my mom's side is from Atlanta, Georgia, and my father's side, they are from North Carolina. My history, my background, just a little bit on my father's side. My grandfather is Geechee from North Carolina. He's not Gullah. He's just Geechee. There are people that's Gullah and Geechee that's mixed. But you can't even go online and find any information out about the Geechee. Really, you can't. Besides that, on my father's side, my admixtures is French, German, and Indian.
Okay.
Blackfoot and what my grandmother say? Blackfoot and Cherokee. So
Okay.
I'm in search. I've done some family history. So that's my father's side. My mother's side is basically mainly just Black American. And I do have some white on my mother's side as well. But I am one of the people I'm old school, y'all. I'm almost 50 years old. I still go by black colored and Negro, but I do not claim Africa. I don't know nothing about Africa, and no disrespect to Africa or Africans. That's just not in my family. I haven't found it. So just giving y'all a little bit piece of my background.
I appreciate that. So real quick, Library, what about you? You want to give a little bit about where you from and all that good stuff real quick before we get going?
Yes, definitely. Shout out to Shay. I'm also from Detroit, Michigan, as
All
Uh-oh.
right.
you know. Yes,
Detroit in the building tonight.
All right.
exactly, from the D. Um, yeah, so just to give a little back, I guess, story on a library for us. I created a library for us to basically shed light on our true story as people who fall under quote unquote Black status. Because, I realized for a very long time now, our story was always told to us, but not by us. So this is where I come in as far as trying to help people rediscover who they are and share our history, right? The history that comes from us. Because just for too long it was told to us and it wasn't told to us correctly because of nefarious reasons. But yeah, basically my mission is to aid in our progression by basically sharing literature, sharing records, and just general information that speaks to our truth as it pertains to history, science, genealogy, spirituality. So basically, I use my platform to compile a lot of different resources from early records to early books, um, uh, artifacts, everything that you can think of that ties into our history. So basically, I just do a lot of digging, a lot of research, a lot of reading. I also travel for my research. I travel to a lot of courthouses, libraries, um, um, historical societies. And I just collect information. You'd be surprised what you find in those small town libraries. I've discovered a lot of information. Yeah. I also thrift a lot for books. You'd also be surprised the books that people throw out that they don't think mean anything. I recently bought a book that cost $10,000 on Amazon. I bought it for $1 at a thrift store. Yeah. So
Hey,
yeah,
that's real estate right there. I think you just show everybody something they might be able to make some money off of on the low. Like go to a thrift store and wink wink look for a book. You never know, that book online might be worth some money. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, that's interesting. Go ahead though. My bad. I want to make sure people caught that though. That was
Oh
interesting. Go
yeah,
ahead though.
no problem. Yeah, that's definitely a layup, that information. Like um going around to those secondhand shops, looking through the books, you really be surprised what you find. So yeah, I just love this work. I'm a truth seeker. It's in my nature. It's just what I do. I love uncovering those deep secrets and just really helping people again rediscover who they are. Our history is so rich, it's so deep. There's so much that has been hidden, especially when it comes to ancient America, when it comes to Europe, as you guys know. So yeah, this is just one of my passions.
That's what's up, and that's why I got you on this show as a lady that I know I've come across that I thought genuinely like Shay, who would passionately into what they're looking into, and we just be naturally bumping into each other based off the fact of what we all are interested in. So that's why it's like we don't be biased. I think when I've had conversations with none of y'all, and I've never come across no way to y'all, hopefully, and I appreciate meeting both of y'all. And however I've met y'all on, I gotta give a shout out to them though, Clubhouse. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't for Clubhouse. And honestly and truly, matter of fact, real quick pause, y'all. Real quick pause. Let me not forget. I gotta give credit because I don't lie. On Clubhouse, this lady right here at the bottom named Shay Pink, she was the one that told everybody, "Oh, Mac, don't you have a social club? Do you remember that, Miss Shay? Tell me if I'm lying. Because if I'm lying, I want everybody to say, Mac, you capping right now. I'll take off my hat. I promise you. If I ain't lying, though. She the lady that did it. She said it live in Clubhouse one room, and one day was like, Mac, don't you have an organization that's a social club? Da, da, da. And that's how kind of sparked us even
Yeah,
having
I
to
told him to
tell
get it
everybody.
going, get it rolling, get it started.
You did. I got to give you credit for that. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you just, and not like you wanted to be involved in any kind of way all the way too, but you supported what you saw us doing, and you were kind of pushing me. And I got to give you as a woman credit for putting that out there, because I probably would have not have said it the way you kind of bluntly was just like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, yeah, I'm here now. And I'm sorry, I got no choice. And the guy like, we're here now. We've been doing the podcast. We set up this organization. It's a nonprofit organization for what we're doing. And yeah, we are trying to get people involved, but we're gonna figure it out. Who wants to get involved? Now we're here now though. We're still doing what we did before we even got started. So I appreciate you especially for coming on the show. So I want to start with you because I'm presumed, and I'm sorry, A Library, but I'm gonna think that Miss Shay is a little bit older than you, just off me assuming. And I ain't trying to put no age on you or nothing. You feel me? Don't get me wrong, right?
Oh no, that's okay.
Okay, appreciate you. I don't want you. Got to be a little patient. I'm gonna let the elder lady of the room speak first. So, Miss Shay, you outside of how I've met you, also I can say some things, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. During genealogy, as you mentioned the different lines that you have, you say you've gotten back into the 1500s on your research dealing with genealogy. I mean, you can tell me
That's
if it's
correct.
further, but
It's a little further than that, but I definitely gotten back that far.
okay. Particularly off the lines that people heard you mention. I heard you mention Blackfoot. I heard you mention Cherokee. That's the indigenous. We know that's indigenous lines, but then the other things you mentioned was French. You mentioned German. Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, French, German, and you said clearly just on any level, document wise, you found white, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so white is a very vague term. It's not really a nationality like black isn't. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna hold that right now.
Okay.
You got there's four interesting mixtures in your lineage though that that's there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
French, German, Cherokee, and Gullah.
Blackfoot.
You know what I'm saying?
And Gullah, yep.
Oh, that's five. So that's five. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Geechee. No, excuse me. Right. Correct myself.
Geechee.
It's
Gullah,
Geechee, not Gullah. Geechee, not Gullah. So in the mixture of what you found in genealogy, and that the line that you got back to the 1500s, which line got you back there, if you don't mind me asking?
That was my grandmother. She's actually mixed. My Owens and Stewarts. That line there got me back that far. On my father's side, that one, it's just one line that took me all the way to the United Kingdom.
So you got that Stewart. That Stewart thing, y'all. Don't pay attention to the Stewart. When you see that, how's your Stewart spelled? By the way.
I believe it's ST. What is it? STEWARD.
Stewart. Yeah. Interesting.
I believe that's how they spell it.
Many different variants, you know what I'm saying, of Stewart.
It's different. Yeah, it's like maybe 2 or 3 different ways.
Mm-hmm. You know, when you now, because I want you to have the floor though, what you have to present, I want to make sure everybody got context of that first.
Okay.
Before you present what I wanted you to present that you told me you wanted to share with the people. Because I do have it on the flyer, so I'm not going to cap about it. DNA versus genealogy. You know what I'm saying? And you have done both. So you're a testimony for our podcast that somebody has, people might disagree to agree about, like you just said, people might not like to do DNA, and some people might not have done genealogy. But what I just asked the key question from you first, remember, I asked you based off genealogy how far you got back. I ain't say DNA. You know what I mean? Right. And when I mentioned what you found, you mentioned 3 different indigenous groups of people And then you mentioned 2 European groups of people that you have found in your lineage, not off DNA. Am I right about that, though?
Yeah, I always knew that my whole life, that those groups was in my family, even before DNA testing came out.
Okay, exactly. Before DNA was, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. You're ahead of me. You're ahead of me on this one. All right, so now, I'm gonna let you go ahead, and it's on you. What you want to say?
Okay. Well, one of my main purposes for even coming on here is to actually expose and show that 23andMe give out 2 results. They give out ancestry and they give out scientific details. So really, I kind of feel like it's kind of some BS. And I would like to, if I can screen share because I want us to connect the dots. I might be able to help some other people, because I'm still searching and trying to figure out what's going on and who is who. So I'm willing to show my DNA results, but my whole purpose is to show y'all they give out 2 results. Long story short, they did because I can tell you, but I want to give y'all this visual aid. They ancestry, long story short, it said that I was 70% African, 25% European, and like 5% other. Go to scientific details. Everything that it said I was African, it say not detected. All the way down the list. And then the only thing which I know for sure is that I do have family from the United Kingdom in my line. I always knew this. So that was the only thing that came up, likely a match. Other than that, every other place they showed said not detected. And anybody that has done 23andMe, I want them to check scientific details. So that was my main goal of coming on here. And Matt, I know you really want to see that part. That's on my ancestry. So I hope I don't go too long, because I really want to show y'all this 23andMe.
I mean, you can share it. A library, you good, right? If there's anything you want to say about anything, we go into that, because you here. So
and they offered me a refund.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did. They offered you.
But I didn't take the refund because it was a few dollars. I wanted to continue to stay. You know what I'm saying? Because you take a refund, and I felt like it might kick you out or give you limited information. I just told them, don't worry about it. But I did call them and complain. And every time they send me a survey, I complain.
Interesting.
But other than that, my goal, and y'all forgive me, I'm a little nervous, but
don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
I know I do basic computer, but is it a way I can show y'all my 23andMe results?
All right, so you're on a computer right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what we got to do? All right, look for the present tab on your side. Let me try to walk you through this. On your computer, you have something that's showing on the screen.
Yeah.
All right, present tab, and then what we're doing, got a green. Yeah, so from once you do that, you should be able to go to any tab that you see it presented, and you can obviously share that tab.
Share screen.
Yeah, the share screen.
Okay, I see that. Okay. Can y'all see this?
Not yet. You see it, God? No, on his side.
Okay, hold on. Hold on for 1 second. Patient. Let me sign in.
Oh, you got to sign. Okay.
I'm signing into 23andMe.
Mm-hmm. I've been hearing all sorts of stuff about the 23andMe, y'all. I mean, people have been sending Q-tip swabs from iguanas. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I've seen a lot of animals tested. in the same manner as non-detected. Oh yeah, Black Rock bought Ancestry about a year ago, but it's hitting the wave now. You know what I mean? For everybody that's doing their Ancestry, Black Rock, they own now Ancestry.com. They bought it for a little money too. So either way though, I mean, while you looking for that, I mean, I'm gonna let you let me know when you need it right. I got patience. We want to
Okay.
see this situation. I ain't rushing you. Don't get nervous or nothing. We got patience with this. You know what I'm saying? A Library, while she's and you have any questions, A Library, you all right over there?
I think I
What
got
you
it.
thinking? Oh, you think you got it?
Can y'all see it?
Got it in. You see it? All right, boom. We got you now. We got you. Boom. All right. So we on you. It's on you now. You navigating the waters.
Can y'all see this?
Everything you showing right now,
okay.
whatever you're scrolling on, we see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is me. And I want to go right here to my results. Ancestry report. Okay, y'all can see where that's me. Y'all see where it's basically saying I'm 72% African right here.
Uh-huh. Sub-Saharan.
Yeah. So if I go down the list, so y'all y'all see where it say I'm 32.1% Nigerian, right?
Right.
Just keep that in mind, right?
Wait. Can I ask a question? Because I got to make sure this is right. At the top, where it says your name, Sharon, and then it says 100% to the right, Sharon. I'm sorry. I always call you Shay, so I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. Everybody say Sharon.
Sharon, 100%, Miss Shay. You know what I'm talking about. This right here say Sub-Saharan African, and then to the right, it says 72.7%.
Right.
But then are they saying out of the 72% that the West African is 62.7%? Out of the 72, are they saying that?
I don't know how to explain it. I just, I kind of just go set, you know what I'm saying? I do it basically. So I'm 70% African, and when you go down, it take you to Europe. But I actually don't know how they do the percentages, honestly.
Go ahead, tell them. Say it to them, God.
Huh?
No, God, speak.
Oh, so basically it's showing that you Sub-Saharan African 72.7%, and then West African is 62.7%, and then Congolese and Southern East African is 6.1%. That's what makes up the 72.7%.
Okay.
Off the DNA joint. All right, so you just be clarified. You know what I mean? Because I never did the test, so I don't want to lie. I can't cap. I've never did no DNA test. Genealogy is all I've done, so I don't know. Oral and genealogy is all I know when it comes to these things, and historical documents. I've never done a DNA test, so I'm not gonna be biased. I want to hear it from you. You're actually the first person that presented this way. So, so now what's after that? You want to scroll down?
Okay, yeah, okay. Because there's a few things I want to touch on. So I'm just want to give y'all just a little taste of what I'm talking about, right? Like just keep in mind right here where it say I'm 32.1% Nigerian. Just keep that in mind, right? So anyway, I want to go down. So it's saying these is all my results here, but I really don't. It's a point I'm trying to make, right? So we get to Europe. I'm 26% European, right? And then when we go down here, East Asian and indigenous American is 0.1%. At one point, they used to say 1.9% indigenous American, but they change it every time they do updates. They change it. And this used to say Indian. They just changed this to indigenous American. This orange it used to just say Indian.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you said that, right? So on this same like system that you've been doing this DNA, they literally before used to have something else prior to it being indigenous American. You're saying,
yeah,
like you used to say, like in the same bar, you're saying that it used to say East Asian and American Indian, and now it's saying indigenous American. Is that right?
They just changed that in the last year.
Interesting.
Maybe the last year and a half, but yeah, that's something new.
I know. It's crazy because of the fact that that would like to they can move the goalposts. I look at how they did that on an international level of trying to correct certain things, right, guys?
They be listening to us.
Yeah, they definitely do. They're moving the goalposts. At the same time, though, and Obama, boy, you slick. But they're moving the goalposts, but at the same time, the situation of DNA is interesting because of who's being directed to being only called indigenous now. Since they use this, since this term is here now, we get broader than spectrum. I mean, like Tavis said, it's just literally was on our show last week Sunday, and his mom and his people, they have been dealing with indigenous education and international laws, dealing with indigenous law and everything that's tied to the United Nations and all the stuff that Obama was tying into, that he called himself, in this term now that people are using, indigenous, right, to be that still fits American Indian, traditionally speaking, Aboriginal people. These terms are like getting conflicting because of the fact that why are you not considered, based off what you just said, you have Gullah, Cherokee, and Blackfoot in your lineage.
Yes.
So technically that means this DNA situation doesn't fit the fact that you have lineage, 3 lines easily that you could prove. That would mean you have blood lineage tied to being indigenous people of this land. Am I wrong about that? Or
no, you're not wrong. And my great aunt, I know she was part of the Lumbee.
Oh, that's another indigenous group of people.
And that's from North Carolina.
Interesting. Yeah.
But, I wanna actually move on to scientific details.
It's on you. I just want to cruise you through because after that we got A Library. She got some things she want to talk about. But you got the first. You up first. So go ahead. It's on you. My bad.
Okay, I'm pulling up scientific details now. So I'm going down the list. Now this is the second results that they give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I don't know we had a bad storm here today, so it's taking a minute to pull this up.
Hey, patience is a virtue. We say PIV over here. Patience is a virtue. That's an acronym. PIV. Take your time. We're here for a reason. As long as you get it right, we cool. Even if you don't get it right, we cool. No, don't get me wrong. Because people might try to run off with that on some clubhouse shit. You know what I'm saying? But what I mean is, we have patience for you to get it. What you need to get right. Because these DNA tests, I think people need to hear from somebody that's done it, right? Because everybody talks about it, like, but where's the conflict at? Based off the fact that they got their system set up to say what markers are. But then you just said to yourself, to your own people that they are tied to these. And that's what's going to be the conflict.
I'm sure because it never does this. It normally pops right up.
It might be the Autonomous Party. I ain't trying to.
They don't want y'all to see this.
They don't want us to see it. Maybe, is that it?
Oh, here you go.
Oh, there we go.
Here
All
you
right,
go.
there we go. There the
Can y'all
pop-up.
see this?
Yeah, open sesame. We good. Abracadabra.
Can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Can y'all see
But
this?
can you make it larger? Can you make it larger for people just in case? Because it's small. Just in case people want to see
Okay,
the
hold
words.
on.
Like, can you make that a little bit larger on your side?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I want because everybody else might see how I'm seeing it.
Can y'all see that?
There you go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. I know everybody see it now. And they can't
Now
say
y'all
nothing.
remember where it said I was 32.1% Nigerian.
Yeah, that part.
Now, why is it saying not detected?
Lord,
All the way down the list.
look at this.
All these places that it said I was African. I don't know what this means. We say, although we detected Nigerian DNA in your ancestral breakdown, we have not identified more specific locations that your recent ancestors may have called home. Now, all the way down the list where it say, I'm African, all the places, it say not detected, not detected, not detected. All these places in Africa that it was saying that I was a part of. I just wanted y'all to remember it said 32 because it's identical to my ancestors. It's the same test.
Right.
Now, all the way down, everything is saying not detected. If it ain't saying not detected, it's saying 0%. Now, when I get to Europe, the only place it say likely a match is the United Kingdom, which I have always knew that my whole life.
Likely match.
Likely match, but that's the only place.
You see that guy? Likely match.
Likely match. 23%.
Everything else is not detected, but it's the only thing showing.
The only thing showing, I'm talking about all the way down this list, everywhere. They don't even have North America on here at all.
But,
nowhere.
You know, even with the DNA thing, the fact
Not
that you
detected,
know already,
all the way down.
No, but this is why I asked you before you. No. This is why I asked her before she showed this, right? Is from Shay, if this is what like the DNA is showing of what you did for your own behalf or wanted to know the truth about where they say your people came from, but then you already knew that you had what we call European, as they would call it, people from that came here from what they call the European areas. Let's keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
And then you also have lineage that's tied to what we call First Nation peoples and how that developed throughout time, etc. Right? So now, but they're not showing you this, but the thing they're giving you on a DNA test is this is what they're giving you. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I mean, non-detected throughout the whole scientific. It's
Everything or
scientific.
0%.
I know what scientific means. Anybody else know what scientific means? Before there was even a science department to know something.
They don't even have America on here. This is everything is 0 or not detected. Everything.
All right.
Everything.
Look, nothing. So none of no, and that's why shout out to Travis Center when he came on the show last week. He said in his recent 2-part series that they got going on right now, even dealing with Native American DNA. Like, because people are looking for African American proof of DNA, and then we got these people that's saying, "Oh, blood quantum," and we got to choose our own roles, right? Yeah, right. Blood rolls. That's what they call it. Oh, the difference between a blood roll and a Dawes roll, right, God? Am I tripping, God? Tell me I'm tripping. There's a difference, right? Based off how they set it up when it came down to the money, there was the blood rolls and the Dawes roll, like at that time on the blood roll. On the blood roll, but the blood roll was set up off of the quantum and all that. Oh, 1/8 and all that 1/16, And then we know scientifically, there wasn't a science lab back then. So so genealogy is still going to trump. So genealogy is still going to trump the DNA process that they didn't even have back then. They didn't even have DNA back then, bro. They didn't have no DNA back then, bro. I got you. Wait, say it again. Blood quantum is genealogy. All right, then we're gonna keep it moving. Real quick, a library. Is there anything you want to say about this since you're here with us right now tonight? What you think about what you're seeing live with us tonight?
I think it's really interesting. Thank you so much, Shay, for sharing this information because I think a lot of people need to see this. A lot of people think that the DNA is like the end all be all, these tests, and it's really not. It's really crazy. I think this proves so much to see that at one point they say, this is what you are. And then you saw another side of it where it gives you the breakdown of all the different people of, say, Nigeria or these different places. Like I saw Igbo and all the different subgroups of the country, but it's all not detected. So they can't actually pick up on you actually being of any of those people of that country that they say you come from. So technically it's not accurate, So it just proves it. I mean, there's been so much proof about these DNA tests not being able to actually do what they say they do. And especially when it comes to the autochthonous American, the way I see it is that even if it was 100% possible in the way that they present it, as far as like discovering your ethnicity and that whole thing, they've already reclassified us, they've already mislabeled us since the 1600s. So if the system actually could do what they say it could do, we would already be miscategorized in the DNA database, period. So, and obviously we were mislabeled way before the implementation of this DNA database, which I believe came in 1990, and in the way in which we know it, which is this ethnic breakdown. So either way, we wouldn't be categorized properly in the system at all. So therefore, we could never get accurate results. So yeah, it's just a mess. So I do appreciate Shay for sharing this because a lot of people need to see it.
I do too. Thank you for saying that. So Shay, now that you know this and all the things you've heard, we're going to that part now, because you got into communities virtually on a social level on all these different platforms, from YouTube, like we are now. We're on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube, right? And obviously Clubhouse. This is another platform socially be interacting. These topics and conversations come up in. You know what I'm saying? And being that you have ancestry tied to what like not even what this DNA test has told you in obviously and told you really that is inactive, you know what I mean? Not active or whatever they want to use the term for. It's not currently scientifically proven, but on your own behalf, when we started, before we even opened up and you shared your screen, which I said before, you were one of the oldest persons that I've come across in their genealogy, dealing with what you've shared amongst us on a Clubhouse platform about what you found in your genealogy records that takes you back to the 15th century. Not saying that they're all indigenous people, by the way. See, that's what I want people to understand. Your genealogical, not DNA, not the scientific thing, but what you found on doing the hard work of really tracing surnames and going back. It's taking you back into that time frame. And these people are not American Indians. Am I right about that you found?
Yeah, they're not American Indian.
Are they dark-skinned people? Is something you might question? Is that what people might question?
Some of them are. I know for sure my the German the German is dark, and my great great grandfather last name is Mishaw, which is French, and he's black as the ace of spades.
Okay, that part.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's because I got so many ancestors, and some of them were black, some was white. Even some of the ones from the United Kingdom, they all wasn't white.
and we know that based off Black
Yeah.
European ancestry. I think you just gave an alley-oop to a library. 'Cause I know she knows about some of the things off the records she's found. So, a library. What you think about what she just said? Now that you heard that part and what you found based off of the information you might be early connected to as well, or just researched wise, a library.
Yeah, that's definitely factual. Yeah, I found a lot of records, and I know we talked about some of these records in the Autonomous Party rooms, of just descriptions of the Europeans coming over here, their complexion, their hair color, their eye color. And these records are so revealing because we know today they try to change history and change what these words like swarthy means. Like a lot of people are saying, oh, swarthy just means it's the hair color, or it's a farmer's tan. There's all these different new versions of what these things mean. But when we look into the records, we look into these old early dictionaries, they're being very specific about what's what. So you see in the complexion column, you see the various complexions: swarthy, chestnut brown, ruddy. And then they have a hair column and they have an eye column. So we could never get the two mixed up when we're digging into their own records to prove this. And some of you may have seen the prison logs from Yorkshire, from the different British, I guess I'll call them counties, of all these prisoners that they were basically dumping in America. And that's really how they saw America. They just saw it as a dumping ground for their undesirables. And these prison logs you can find in like what I think Jacobite's Gleaming book. I do have the records posted on my IG. And Twitter. I can also send it in the back so you guys can share it. But the prison logs break down, what these people looked like, what they were being sentenced for. There's also a book called Scottish Banished to American Plantations. That book is very revealing as well. It's basically a book that someone compiled like a lot of records and basically formed it into a book. And it kind of breaks down why all of these Scottish were being sent to America. And they were being sent to America to finish out their sentencing. As prisoners, they were sent to plantations. And obviously, these were pale Europeans and Black Europeans. And in this book, you see their offenses as well, like why they were being sentenced to slavery or indentured servitude. So that's an interesting book that speaks to this. Also, there's a 1761 military book, and it's for like different states, but this one in particular that I'm referring to is for New York. And in this book, you see all of the people in the military and their origins, where they're from, their complexion. And there's a lot of Black Europeans listed, their height. It's very, very detailed, and I can provide that as well. This is also posted on my social media. But let me just go
Let them know your
to
social media real quick, just in case they didn't catch that. I
Oh,
want
yeah.
everybody to know they can tap in what you're doing, your A library. You know what I mean? You got a
Yes.
library of sources, so make sure everybody can catch up to you. Let everybody know where they can find you at real quick too. We'll go a couple times, but right now.
Definitely. My Instagram and Twitter page is A Library for Us. So you guys can find me on there. I generally post for Twitter. I usually do threads, and IG. I do a lot of kind of like general posting. The way I've constructed my IG page, if you guys go to it, in the middle column, it's all records and books. Try to make it easy for people. So if you go to the middle column, that's where you'll find all the literature. And then everything else is just different artwork that speaks to our history, maps, newspaper clippings, just various different records. Okay, so the military record I was referring to is the muster roll, and it is New York troops, 1761. For instance, there's a Thomas McCarthy listed as the first man, and it shows the column "Where born." It shows for him Ireland. His trade is a butcher. His stature is 5'10". His complexion is swarthy. His eyes are gray. His hair is brown. And then it goes down. You see maybe one or two who are fair. And then, this is interesting because this is also very revealing. There's a William Wiley, where he was born is Jersey, and his complexion is Negro. So this is a clear indication that this particular person is an American Indian, because if he was a European, they would have put him as such. They would have put him as maybe swarthy, or him being from Ireland, or some of these other places. And they actually do have some Europeans on here who are listed as being born in, say, let's see, this one is Long Island. But he's not a Negro. He's swarthy, or and then let me just scroll down. Some are ruddy, brown. So there's a gentleman here, his name is Richard Wool. It shows he was born in New York, but yet his complexion is brown. So why wouldn't his complexion be Negro if he was born here on this landmass? Well, I think that really speaks to where his lineage is from, because they made a clear distinction between who the Negro was and who the Black European was for a while. Now, I know when it comes to the word Negro, it goes way far beyond our landmass, America, and the meanings. We see it transform over time. We see who they place the term on at one point, and then it transforms. But when it came to this landmass, for a while, for certain periods, it was distinctively the American Indian, especially in this time, because all these men who are listed, who are technically Black men, they're not all Negro. So again,
I got an example for you, matter of fact. I got an
that
example.
speaks to something.
No, I think you said a lot, actually. Because a lot of people, complexity-wise, this word Negro is it's a very complex term that Obama decided to get rid of, because it crosses a spectrum of people that can fall underneath it based off of complexion, and today our culture especially. Can you give me that source dealing with the Powhatan in Virginia? I want you to check this out real quick, a library. The Miss Shay, again, I thank you for presenting everything you brought to us tonight, because that like leads to a lot of things that's going to add to the discussion, being that you are like a witness. It's like we got a witness on the stand.
I also want to, Mac, I want to come back also, because because I know you really want to see my 23andMe, but my ancestry, my ancestry genealogy. I want to come back and do that. I wanted to keep it kind of separate, but because I want to show you how far it go back.
Yeah, we can do that separately. That's
great. I want to do that separate. Also, I just want to throw in too, I was told also that far as women, because I want to be fair when it comes to these tests, because they not being fair, but they also say women have to test a father or a brother to get the whole test, to complete their results. Men don't have to do that. Women, we the only ones that have to do that. So I've been saying I got 6 brothers. I'm the oldest. So I may get one of them to do it. Well, I am gonna get one of them to do it. I just ain't did it yet. But I got 6 younger brothers, and I can get one of them to do it so I can figure out probably even more information.
Got a grade talking shit.
Yeah.
Got a grade over here talking shit. Yeah. So, hey, you know, I'm gonna get you a mic. Like, all right, watch this. Something I'm gonna get you a mic.
Tell them to
Everything he
speak
say,
up.
hey,
Speak
right?
up.
It speak up. Goddamn. Come over here. Come over here and say that
Nah.
shit again. What you talking about?
So Miss Shay, I was gonna say you're gonna have to get all your brothers tested because that's
All
how
of
DNA
them.
work, apparently. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to get them tested because you get 50% from your mama, 50% from your daddy,
Mm-hmm.
but you get a different 50%, you get a different combination. So it's not gonna be the same. All your brothers not gonna have the same DNA sequence and combination
You
as
right.
the other one. So
You right.
you know what I'm saying? If you want that real, the real picture that you want.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we gonna get that right. See, we in the whole studio. We got people sitting around us and shit. We be quiet. Hey, and we got people live in our city. We got people. Shout out to Barry P. He be sitting here monitoring everything. We should be on point. He be looking at me crazy too sometimes. And I'll be like, look, hey, we in the studio. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't at our houses doing this shit. But at the same time, this thing you're bringing to us, and I appreciate you're bringing. And then again, that's why I felt it was like only important when I actually thought about the guests. And it was one of the ladies that I did reach out to that I felt would fit into the spectrum of the ladies that I want to be in this conversation. But particularly because of I know you was the oldest actually out of all of them, presumably so, because I don't like to put no age on nobody. But and also you have gone back from me talking to you. I know that you've gone back that far. Like I ain't got a cap for you. I know you know what you say it too consistently. You're too consistent with what you say. I ain't saying you're born or nothing. No, everybody, fellas. When a lady's consistent, it don't mean she born. She know what she talking about. It's what it is. It's not like she can't make it up. It's this what she found. It's what it is.
It's all right when you hear something too much, but yeah, I want to come back and do that one though.
No, you good. No, you ain't talking too much because people need to hear this right now. Because I've had a lot of people say some things, and on Clubhouse, you be in the rooms too. Y'all ladies be in the rooms. Y'all know what y'all be hearing on social media from people. I don't know what to say about it because I don't like to disrespect nobody saying they don't have indigenous ancestry. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to the trauma that maybe that's being held with now trying to prove that everybody that is of what we call black today is originally from America, as if there wasn't dark-skinned people in nations and empires from other places that might have came to the Americas. You know what I mean? Like that is the part we're running into problems at. A library from your documents. Do I sound crazy for what I'm saying? You're a lady. I'm gonna let you tell me if I'm tripping. We live. How that sound when I say it like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last thing you said.
What I said was, as well as we know, I'm gonna rephrase it then, because I don't want to say like I ain't gonna catch what I said live again. I can't reiterate. You're gonna have to catch me after the fact. No, I'm being real. I'm drinking. I ain't gonna do that. I'm smoking. No, I can't do that. It's live. What I'm gonna rephrase and say is, as the dark-skinned people, as we would call it, complexity, all the variations of terms that we can use for copper-colored people, indigenous to America, and the First Nation people that Ms. Shay has presented. Three of them, obviously, that we know are from here, nowhere else in the world. But then when it comes down to the fact that she also has presented that she has genealogy that's tied to the United Kingdom, even though the DNA test, or scientifically speaking, did not detect any of the other things. It did say United Kingdom, and we know dark-skinned people came from there. And you just, obviously talked about some dark-skinned swarthy people who came from there, and they mixed in with the same group of people that Miss Shay is presented that were obviously already here. So now we got dark-skinned people mixing in with dark-skinned people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, am I tripping or am I not tripping from what you said? Are we all not on the same page about that part? Like, I want to make sure I ain't tripping because I don't know about saying, Mac, you conflating.
Yes. Definitely. That what you said is a fact. There were definitely dark-skinned people who were colonizing, coming here and whether they were in the colonizer role or in the the servitude enslaved role. They were definitely variations of brown people. So yeah, there was some mixing definitely going on. I have my own thoughts that can be a little different than others when it comes to mixing, as far as, because in my research, I see that there are certain colonies and certain areas that are more saturated with these immigrants than other places, but it all varies based on the timeline. So I think everyone's genealogy looks a little different, and when they see mixing taking place in their genealogy, looks different too. And it's based on different migration patterns, depending on where your family was located. If your family wasn't in those 13 colonies at a certain point, you may see mixing happen a little later in time versus a little earlier than someone who has ancestry in Virginia, or so there's so many variables as far as how many European ancestors you may have in your genealogy, or how many autochthonous Americans that you have in your genealogy, so that's the beautiful thing about our history, is that it's all different. There's no blanket story. There's no one book that covers who we are.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna do something. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up right now on my phone. This is freestyle. CB live, right? Gotta go. I'm gonna send you a link. Give me a few minutes. Is there anything you want to present tonight? Cause I want to give you the opportunity, like Miss Shay. You know what I mean? Cause she presented with you. If it's something you want to present, you have all right to present something too. You know what I mean? If anything you want to share from out your library, you know what I mean? No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? But if there's anything you want to share, it's on you.
Okay, sure. I mean, I have quite a few things, I guess. And I can send a few things in the back channel that I had discovered. When I'm doing my research, as you know, Mac, because you are heavily into this research, it really takes a analytical mind and a critical thinking mind to really piece this stuff together. So as you're reading and you're compiling things, you start to see patterns, you start to see things in real time that speaks to who we were, or who we are, that's been hidden. There's a lot of things that kind of jump out. So there was something that I had discovered recently, while I was doing a lot of research with Germany. Give me one second.
Oh, Germany in the building. Okay. Swat the Germans that Benjamin Franklin was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a really strong connection between the American Indians and Germany. Our influence over there was insane, and they had a great they really honored the American Indian for all that we contributed to Germany. I'm sorry. And I like to bring up their castles and cathedrals a lot, because still today, if you go there, they have so many artifacts and paintings of the autochthonous American. And they're very consistent in what they looked like, always brown, just like the misclassified Indian today. So I love to refer back to their literature and their castles and cathedrals. So what I'm going to send over right now is from that. Give me one second.
I'm glad you said that, because it's a lot of stuff that's out there when it comes over there. These terms are being used, and that's why I like to network with people that have library sources such as yourself, and that you can show me a source. Like a library, as you know, a lot of these rooms we go into, they don't show no sources at all for nothing they talk about. Am I right about that, or am I tripping? I mean, it's a lot of people that talk about a lot of things, but they can't present a source for what they're saying. And You happen to be one of them people that, ladies, even more, that can do that. So that's why I appreciate you coming on our platform tonight. So it won't be like I'm being biased or I'm trying to make up something that's not really going on. Like I ain't trying to be biased. You know what I mean? We all looking at the certain thing, right? We all are researching and genealogy and all that stuff that people say they're doing, and you're doing the work and you're faith to what you're looking for, or even just wanted to find out the truth, I guess. Because some people, as I said that, some people faith-wise are looking for a certain thing. You know what I mean? To prove that they are tied to what they're trying to be of. And others now already know, hey, I'm tied to this, but I'm also tied to this, and it is what it is. And this is what the system is, and this is what we're dealing with. How can we come together and get a remedy based off who we know we are? Because I know Miss Shay know that, the people that's coming over here now, they ain't got the same thing going on as us. You know what I mean? In the understanding of our cultures in America and what our genealogy and heritage is tied to, with the mixtures and all. They're still not tied to what we're talking about, or the people that's coming over here now. You know what I mean? Like they're not the same group of people. You know what I mean? That. So whenever you're ready. But matter of fact, no, give me that joint real quick. While she get that, let me get that joint real quick. I want to make sure I don't forget that. Whenever you're ready, you can pull up that first joint. You know what I mean? That I told you.
And I did. I sent a few things over to the email. I'm not sure how you guys do it. If you guys want to pull it up from the email, some of the content that I sent over.
You sent it to the email that basically you got the link from, right?
Yes.
All right. You heard it, guy? All right. He see it. Pull up the joint I got while you pull up that though. I can read over that while you load up. When you load up. No. The first joint that I said, the power time joint, real quick. You know what I mean? And then we can go, and while you load up what she sent over, we can go into that. We're live though, like I said, we're live. Bismillah Lounge, through the campaign, the Autonomous Party. These are conversations we like to have and build on for our people. You know what I mean? The social, political, economic, and cultural level that can reunite us to have trust in what we can move on now. You know what I mean? In the plan of action. It's just being indigenous in the Jim Crow, Virginia. This is something I want to present. You know what I'm saying? Tonight, while we load up what a library wants to present. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure I threw this out there tonight, on the Solstice weekend. Like I told you, this the 25th. It's not my numbers. I don't make the calendar up. You know what I mean? It's June 25th. So you can treat it like Christmas if you want, in the summer manner, right? It's the first weekend of the summer. You know what I mean? Power time people and the color line. When I thought about this joint, it made me think about the Carolina Genesis, beyond the color line. That's what the book says. You know what I mean? It's Carolina is beyond the color line. You know what I'm saying? So now this same premise of this joint, where I'm presenting to y'all tonight, it's tied to the Virginia indigenous people in the reign of what we call the state or West. Like how what's funny about Carolinas, y'all, is Carolinas is North and South Carolina as you travel through it today. But then before that, it was the Carolinas. And before that, it technically was Spanish territory. It was also called like La Florida by the Spanish conquistadors and stuff like that. But we're going to go into that right now. We're going to stay on pace. In Virginia, the Powhatan Nation, you know what I'm saying?
I wanted to add something really quick before Miss Library for us begin. Just wanted that my family has a marker with the, oh my God, please, it's the Mohegan Indians in Mishaw, which is my family's surname, and Virginia on a Powhatan marker. I just wanted to add that.
Okay. I appreciate that. Cause see, that's another tribe you got in your lineage. You see that? It's a whole nother tribe
Yeah, and that's why
in
I
your
come into
lineage.
our rooms to learn more about the Indian part of my family.
Right, because there's the First Nation side, and you mentioned the other side, but we know they mixed in with the side that was predominantly here, and this also going to go into what we've been breaking down with the free person of color. Shout out to Opie, and how we know that the foundation of the predominant people, copper colored people, that the First Nation people that came in contact with the European colonies, from the Spanish to the I said it already, Portuguese, because people don't like to talk about them. I gotta give them an honorable mention. French, obviously they were here. The Dutch, they don't get enough credit either, because they should get an honorable mention. And with the popular historical narrative that I think has misguided us, based off of that take place of a separation of the 13 colonies. And shout out to Lee Cummins for doing a whole series to break down the 13 colony situation, for people to go look back at these things that the free person of color should not ignore if you fall into this heritage of people that were labeled at least free people of color, even if more, as you just showed. Because right now on the record tonight, you have mentioned, I'm going to say my numbers because I've been drinking, I'm going to say about 6 tribes. You mentioned, though, French and German. So you have more a majority right now on the indigenous side than the foreign side. And we know that both sides you mentioned are or could be considered what we call copper colored people. The color line, though, scroll up real quick. Scroll up real quick. I want to go into this real quick. Let me show you. It's a source right here. I think people, we've been sharing. I was waiting. I thought, this is the right time. You're gonna make this bigger for folk now, because I can't even read it. It's not gonna happen this way. You gotta agree. You got to make it bigger. No. Just make it bigger first, because it's too much here. I ain't even trying to. I really wanted people to know that there is a document that is already recorded. Yeah, make it a little more bigger. One more time. There we go. That's better for me, though. I'm telling y'all, I've been reading too much stuff. I gotta get glasses soon. I never thought it was gonna happen, God. I don't need glasses, God. You heard me? I'm 4 hours with this. You heard me? It's coming. Nobody laughing at me. Oh, you got glasses? That's cool. All right. I ain't gonna do nothing to you right now. I'm gonna talk to you later. We'll talk later. Wishing some shit on me, huh? Now, real talk though. In chapter 1, Virginia 1924 racial integrity law. You know what I'm saying? All these things is in this link dealing with the Powhatan. You saw Powhatan at the top. So I want to make sure these things are just reference why I want him to make it bigger, so you can understand. There's documents and there's sources that we have. You know what I mean? In the library, such as this right here, dealing with state by state situations going up the East Coast. Strictly, I like to say a Macaria, because the Powhatans really like how they talk about 5 civilized, but when we know that the Tuscarora are really like the 6, and there's a 7 that's coming, we ain't gonna talk about them right now. You heard I said it right. There's a 7, but the 6 though is Tuscarora, and out of the 5 that most people probably know. But these groups of people, the Powhatan, they're not mentioned, but they're in Virginia in the first contact of King James the First in the 6th. He sent gifts to this, chief that is historically famously known, in the time frame of when the 13 colonies, the 8 Lord Proprietors came to America, 1605. I'm giving you an exact date. You can think I'm capping on. I'm giving you a date if you want to check on me, right? Scroll down real quick though. Don't want to know. We showed the top part first. I just want to just flash this because we can't even go through it to right now. But I felt it fit in the fact that these Powhatan Indians, basically off of what I know I've read from it, is going to be labeled over time. You see where it talks about, matter of fact, in March of 2015, Kevin Brown, chief of the Pamunkey. See, I got Brown, you feel me, God? But I ain't other Pamunkey. You feel me, God? Like, my Browns, you know what I'm saying? Then I can't say, oh, they Pamunkey, you know what I mean? But either way, he's a Brown though. See, Browns be everywhere. Shout out to the Browns. We Indians replied to opponents of the Pamunkey petition The people doing petitions from back in the day, nothing new, to join the list of federally recognized Native American tribes. We met the English and John Smith and Pocahontas as Paul Monkey. It's crazy that we're not recognized by the federal government. We should have been the first recognized tribe. The Paul Monkey effort succeeded and was confirmed in 2016. In the past, federal officials had argued that because the Paul Monkey were party to colonial era pacts rather than treaties with the United States, they're in the realm of the Commonwealth of Virginia, not the federal government. However, that does not explain why, in 2015, the Paul Monkey, who have continuously held reservation lands in Tidewater, Virginia, since the 17th century, and whose political organization and state has recognized for a generation. See, it's at state. You heard that? Yeah. Was I coming into that right? So the state of Virginia knows what it is, right? But federally, is it federally? Why are we not the first? Is it why are we not the first federal recognized tribe? Being the fact that everybody even talk about Jamestown, Virginia, right? Thanksgiving, even though I always try to correct people, that's not even the first Thanksgiving. You got to go back to St. Augustine, North Florida, to give thanks, dealing with missionaries and stuff. But the popular joint is Jamestown, 1605, obviously, 8 Lord Proprietors, obviously, we get to 1611, right? King KJV Bible, 1619. They talk about 20 odd Negroes that are foreign to the colony in the Powhatan Nation. That's 700 enumerated people counted for Jamestown in 1619, along with 700, that's the colony counted people in Jamestown, surrounded by the Powhatan, who will later be absorbed and labeled free people of color in the whole state. Paul Monkey, they tied to this political situation based off what I'm trying to tell you. And we got the source, so I'm only showing you this part just to make sure we get context of why I even presented it. These are indigenous people that Jamestown is connected to, and they're labeled free people of color today. You know what I mean, God? Paul Monkey. Shout out to the Paul Monkey, though. In 2015, public opposition to the Paul Monkey petition. You see that sprang from multiple bases and biases. It's right there, though. I'm gonna keep it moving, though. Hey, library, we're gonna slide on you. What do you want to show first? I just want to make sure I got that in there.
Okay, actually, I'm just going to present from my screen. Actually, I was able to log in to my social media, so it'll make it easier instead of like sending a bunch of stuff.
Perfect. Just on the outside, that's great. I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead.
So there's quite a few things, but I guess I'm going to start with to piggyback on what you just presented, I'm going to pivot really quick to kind of tie into that. So I'm going to pull up something here.
Shout out to Carolina Genesis. But when I found the Powhatan joint while she pulling up that joint, you know what I mean? God, when I found this one, I said, oh, this is interesting. You know what I mean? This is going to be tied to literally the time frame the 13 colonies pulled up on, who the 13 colonies pulled up on, as far as late 8 Lord Proprietors going Virginia up. See, not Virginia down. That's Spanish territory based off who was already coming here. You know what I mean? But settlement-wise, these people that Thanksgiving, and everybody want to be tied to Thanksgiving, and Jamestown. I try to tell you, I'm out of Florida. I'm not being biased. Don't say I'm hating on you. Like, it's not a basketball team thing, Miami Heat thing or nothing. I just happen to know I'm in the area where I reside at. You know what I'm saying? And no capping. I was born. Nigga, I ain't capping. I was born in Newport News, Virginia. You feel me? Shout out to Bad News. You heard me? I'm Bad News Brown. Yeah. My people, my dad was in the military. Military, it's real talk. That's how I happen to be better. But I happen to Brown, Edward Brown, with the E on the end of the Brown. He came from London into Virginia. That's the coincidence I look at when I look at all this stuff, swarthy individuals, right? But still, she pulled up something. You ready? It's on you, Eli Bird.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just kind of like maneuvering on here. Let me see. I've never really quite done this before. So, okay. So the first thing I'll pull up, as a lot of you are aware, Walter Plecker, right? So this is actually in the archives, the government archives. So as I was digging through old newspaper articles, I came across this. So, I love coming across these things because we talk about it. But when you find those records in the government archives, there's no denying it. And basically in this newspaper article, which was published in 1945, it states here that classifying so-called Virginia Indians as Negro, Dr. W.A. Placker State Register of Vital Statistics declared today. Now you see Pamunkey Indians right down there at the bottom. It says here, Mr. Coates accused the register of acting on pure prejudice in classifying the Pamunkey Indians as mulattoes and in branding them as Negroid. And then it goes on to say, let me just click over. In Norfolk, basically, Mr. Coates asserted in his talk that in Norfolk that the Pamunkeys are denied benefits from the federal government, which would be available to them as Indians because of their classification as mulattoes or as Negroes by the Bureau of Vital Statistics. And as you guys know, Virginia is the leader. Like once Virginia makes a move, all the states follow suit. It was no different than, I think, in what, 17, I can't remember what years. I know it was like the late 1700s when they passed that law to ban Indian slavery, right? So when they started banning that law, a lot of the people who owned slaves, they found loopholes by reclassifying their slaves as an African or different terms so that they could get away with owning these slaves now. And then other states started following suit. So a lot of times when we come across these records that just state Virginia, it's really not just Virginia. Virginia is just kind of like the leader, and all the other states and counties start to just follow and implement their practices, right? It's like they almost look up to Virginia. Now to move on to
You caught that alley up nicely, by the way. I want to let you know that if you was on a fast break, I would have been like, God damn, you caught that alley up like that? Like you dunking? I didn't know you was above the rim, Eli Berry. I knew you can catch things that high. You caught things above the rim right there with that. Like, okay. So yeah, you saw where I was going with it. So literally you back it up. Can you make the screen a little bit bigger just so everybody else, because I don't want nobody saying they can't see what you are presenting. Just in case. You know what I mean? And I know my eyes, I ain't gonna lie to you, cataracts, like from Friday.
It might be the site because I'm sharing from my Instagram page.
No pressure.
And yeah, I don't think I can expand it further. But I will give the source for this in particular. And shout out
That's better though. You're getting better though. I just want to make sure they get a little bit, thank you very much for trying. Either way. Go ahead, my bad.
Okay, no problem. The source to what I'm sharing now is from, let me just pull it up here, Making Indians White, the judicial, Making Indians White, Native Slavery in Revolutionary Virginia and its Racial Legacy. And I can share that link or PDF as well. But basically, and I actually came across this source through Jamar. Some of you may know him on Clubhouse. So shout out to him for that. But I bring up this particular source because it shows here that in 1732, there was an enslaved woman by the name of Sarah Chackham who had ran away in Connecticut. And she was able to take legal actions to regain her freedom. And she became a free person of color. So you touched on the free people of color. You touched on the Pamunkey and how they were identifying as such. So anyways, what's interesting about Sarah and her freedom is that in addition to filing for her freedom, she also wanted to reclaim her indigenous identity because her owners erased her identity by reclassifying her as an African. So it states, yes, it states here, right? It's red underlined, and this is from court documents. And that's another thing that I enjoy doing is digging through those early court records, because those court records are so revealing, because there were so many autochthonous Americans who went to court for their freedom and won. And you can find this in the government archives, such as like early newspapers. By just searching keywords, court cases, Negro, Indian, enslaved, just certain keywords will help you kind of find these early court cases. And a lot of our people were basically winning their freedom and then being classified as free people of color. But in her particular case, she stated that she wanted to retain that identification because that's who she was, an Indian, and her owner, switched her to African. So yeah, yep.
Man, this African switchover part is still definitely a hijack politically that is got to be shown. And as Miss Shay, now as you presented what you said, Miss Shay, and you heard with Miss A. Library, you still a woman, and I'm gonna give you respect in that. So Miss A. Library, so I feel like I'm at the library right now, and I had to check in my card, library, and you had to show me documents of what I'm looking for. Like, you're a great librarian person, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
No pressure. Miss Shay, what you think about what's going on right now? Are you there? What she's presenting so far, you want to say about it based off what you've been researching? It's like the librarian and the genealogist.
I'm sorry, I stepped away for like 5 minutes.
No, I was asking you, did you hear anything that in the 5 minutes you might have missed?
Well, a library for us, I really appreciate her. She's very detailed. She's thorough, and she give out great information. I mean, she's just me being in the room with her and with y'all. She's, she made me look some things up and even want to research even more. But I missed like the last I stepped away for a few minutes.
Well, I was like, A. Library, because I can't speak what you said. I'll be capping. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say anything real quick, just off of.
Yeah, no worries.
But I did hear you say them changing people statuses or races or something.
That part.
You did mention that, but I just stepped away for a few seconds.
Oh, no problem. And I appreciate those kind words, Shay. Super appreciate it. Basically, I was just sharing a court document from a woman who was indigenous, and she was able to reclaim her freedom. In the process of reclaiming her freedom, she also wanted to reclaim her identity as a American Indian because her owner had actually recategorized her as an African so that he could, basically have her as a slave, because the law had already been passed that they were forbidding Indian slavery. So yeah, that was pretty much the gist of what I was saying.
And what's that picture you got to the far left? What is the screen you're showing us right now? Let me ask you that first. The screen you got here is Instagram, right?
Okay, yes, yep. This is my Instagram page.
Okay,
So picture,
can you click on any of these pictures that you
yes,
have on your Instagram? Or you see the man and the woman to the left or my left?
yes.
It's my left in the
Okay,
blue dress. In the blue
this one.
dress, lady in the blue dress. It's not a red dress. It's a blue dress. Okay, yeah, give me, yeah. So what's this real quick, randomly,
Yes.
dealing with?
This was some artwork that I came across, and it was titled "A Portrait of a Black Man and Woman Walking on Street," and it was published in 1837 there in Philadelphia. And I thought this was a really nice image that really spoke to um, who Americans were and what we looked like in the different statuses that we had. So basically, I was just trying to show that they give this illusion or this false narrative that everyone in America that was quote unquote Black was a slave. But then you see people who are depicted like this.
That part.
And there's no way possible that these people could have been slaves. These people are indeed free people of color. You can just look at the details of the clothes they're wearing. You know, they wouldn't have been depicted if they didn't exist. So
That
it was
part.
just me trying to show the other side, that there were people here that looked like our people had wealth in this country, and there were some states that free people of color outnumbered slaves.
Mm.
So again, it's just me trying to show people the other sides to the history that is not normally discussed.
Do you agree with the people that are and I ain't trying to I ain't trying to be ingenuous about people that could be definitely copper colored and don't have no mixtures, I guess, in their oral or traditional ways, like Miss Shay said. But then, as Miss Shay said, you could have guaranteed more indigenous roots you could find here, but still have some mixture of people that could have been free people of color in a matter of European, I would say, influence of this picture right here. But you say this is European depiction of people? Elaborate.
You know what? It can very well be, but honestly, um, it from my research, I noticed that they kind of differentiate between the two people in the way that they depict them. And typically, sometimes I see the Black European depicted a little differently.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm looking at her hat, and one of the things that, and I'm gonna touch on this after I move from this slide, but her hat speaks to the autochthonous American to me, and I can tell you why. So what I have noticed is that when autochthonous American matriarchs are depicted, and again, all throughout these cathedrals and castles in Europe and in Germany in the early books, you're seeing these feather headdress that represents their leadership, that represents that matriarch status, that clan mother status. And the matriarch was held in such high regard in America. And they tend to wear a very flamboyant like hat, or what was initially called like the headdress. Now, because we were forced to um, basically not identify with our culture and our heritage, our matriarch stepped away from the headdress, but the memory still lives in the DNA, because what ended up happening is that those headdresses transformed into what we call the church lady hats, the
Hmm.
flamboyant big hats that our matriarchs wear, right? Which is usually big mama, grandma, our women who are generally the leaders of the family. Technically, they are the clan mothers, right? Because they keep the family together. They show leadership. They take care of things. They keep the family together, no different than the clan mothers and their tribes. And you notice that when women get to a certain age, especially church-going women, they start wearing these hats because technically they earned it. They got to an age of wisdom, and again, that headdress represents leadership. it represents a prominent position. And when you become Big Mama, when you become that grandma, that great grandma, you've stepped into a role of wisdom because that came with age. So it's just kind of funny how our women start to wear those hats, because you don't really see the young girls wearing the big church hats, right? So now let me paint the picture for you and move on to where I'm going with this. So for instance, here is a picture. Now this is I found this, this is in Germany, Munich, Germany. It's in a castle that was built in 1664. And I'm going to slide over to what the room looks like. This is the room in this palace, right? Now I'm going to scroll over to the details about this room. So it reads here in the Southeast presents the representative of America. So what they're showing you is that this woman right here is a representative of America. She is the representation of America the way they see it. She has the bow and arrow. She has the huge headdress with the feathers. She has features of a quote unquote Black woman. Now I'm going to scroll back over here and give you the details. So with her right hand, she is pulling an arrow out of the quiver and is ready to put in the bow. She holds in her left hand. Now, keep in mind, we all know that the bow and arrow is exclusively attached to America. You know, like we know that it was used in many places, but whenever you see a bow and arrow and you see those feathers, we know that's America. And then it goes on to say the head of the Americas is crowned by a feather, what they call tiara, while her neck is adorned with strings of pearls, which you'll see a lot of times whenever they depict our matriarchs, they're always wearing pearls. And then it reads, a fine cloth falls loosely over her shoulder, covering her skin, and so forth and so on. So I'm just going to go back to the picture so you guys can really look at that and examine. And also you see the reptiles near her too, that crocodile, alligator. We kind of talked about that in your clubhouse room recently. They love to associate the American matriarch with that.
Exactly. Well, I got some. I'm glad you said that we just show. So I'm going to go to something I want to show people too. I got an archive I pulled up, just for, cause I'm doing a librarian. So I'm like, all right, librarian, I'm going to have to come with my own sources too now. I got thing I want to show too now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, let's get it.
I mean, we're going to have a quick little, I only got because of our show, and we don't like this ain't Clubhouse, so we only got our 3-hour block could be live. In our local area, people are tapping into what we're talking about inside of Mizmia Lounge. Obviously, we used to be on Mixcloud, but we technically it might be there, right? Yeah, you still doing it there? We got Mixcloud listening to us live. Then we got YouTube. Cause we started on Mixcloud and Mizmia Lounge. To be honest with you, right? But we really focused. Cause now, crazy enough, with how we able to present these sources on our YouTube channel that we've gone in that level to grow to where we're at now to be able to show everything you're showing on a level of YouTube level, so people can go back and watch it and catch everything we're talking about live, in our conversation. But I appreciate you as a librarian for all these kind of archives showing these things, especially the ladies. My grandma wore hats like that. You feel me?
Yes,
My grandma wore hats like that.
And I'll say this really quick before you pull up your sources. Yeah, those hats, I mean, when you are researching and seeing the consistency and the patterns of the past, you come forward and you're like, wait a minute, we are literally replicating the same thing, but in a different way, because we were told that we couldn't wear our feather headdress anymore. That was now designated for a new group, right? We couldn't be who we were. But like I said, the memory lives within the DNA. A lot of people don't realize that it's the ancestors and just those before you that are inspiring you and influencing you every day to dance, to cook the way you do, to wear the things you wear. Exactly. So we see our matriarchs basically wearing these same huge flamboyant style hats that we saw our matriarchs wearing in the past as we see it depicted. So in the left-hand corner, you have a matriarch with a headdress on, its feathers. This is also found in Germany, in one of the cathedrals. I'll have to circle back to find which one exactly. And then the other matriarch that's in the palace in Munich, Germany, that I just discussed. So then I just gathered these other pictures just to show the pattern. And obviously, you know that this is exclusively our culture, what we call the church lady hats. There's nobody else that's
Church lady
really
hats.
right, you know? So it really
The
speaks
first ladies of the church.
yes, that really speaks to autochthonous American culture, definitely. So it's our culture is very distinctive and it's very obvious because we don't see it replicated across the world. It's very exclusive to us, and that's because it's rooted on this landmass. So I'll end with that
Interesting.
before I go into my next source.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
got you. No. Only thing I was thinking about is being that, being that you said German, right? And Shay said German. And obviously, Shay has a mixture, and I happen to have a mixture. And these people, especially my grandma, used to wear a hat, and there was a lady that was in the far, like, left corner. Like, I remember being in church and seeing, especially my father's side, my grandma, and she wore them kind of hats. You feel me, God? She had a lot of them hats still. So many hats. Like how we got baseball hats, you feel like how I'm into my hats. My grandma had hats, you hear me? Yeah. Like
Yes,
when
that
women
really
do, they had bags.
yes, that really represents her wisdom and her leadership. Unbeknownst to a lot of women, they may not see it that way, but they earn that. Again, it lives in the memory. And the clan mothers, when they reached a certain level, they wore that headdress. When you break down the headdress and you understand,
Level.
yes, when you break down that headdress and you understand spiritually what the feathers represent, what the beads represent, what everything represents. It really speaks to wisdom, leadership, and a spiritual understanding of the workings of nature and whatnot. And since you mentioned Germany, I thought I would throw up this coat of arms here,
Uh-oh.
because we see autochthonous Americans depicted, but then we also see the Moor depicted, and we see how they made a distinction between the two. Because as you can see, the Moor is wearing something entirely different, like the bandana, and then you have the autochthonous American or American Indian that's depicted in that traditional feather bottom and feather headdress with the bow and arrow.
I see where you're going with this. I see you. No, the MOHR, because we know that, right? Because the Django. See, I studied his name. I studied the movie, right? The Django. That movie is very interesting to what you're showing right now in current day time for those who watch the movie, the Django, right? He obviously, just to anybody that watched the current movie, right? Jamie Foxx, who played the Django, is not the same nation of people of his said wife, who is now being traded in the narrative of the movie. And she's clearly a German woman. Am I right about that? From you watching the movie? Have you watched the movie, Eli Berry? Or the Django? Like she clearly is considered German in
You
this
know,
movie.
it's funny. I really don't remember it. Honestly, when I initially saw that movie, I did not like it.
You didn't
So
like it?
I'm one of the, I don't know, I guess I'm
All
different,
right.
but
I'm gonna ask Shay. Shay, have you watched the
Yeah,
Django?
I put
Shay?
in the chat too. I at first when I first watched it, I didn't like it, but actually, I think when I first met you guys on here and we was talking about the movie, I went back and watched it. Actually, I went back and watched it a couple of times, and his wife, she was a black German, what's her name? Kerry Washington.
Yeah, Kerry
His
Washington.
wife, and she
Right.
spoke German fluently. They
That
taught
part.
her English, but she in the movie she was depicted as a black German woman, and that um also in that house, Leonardo, I think they called him Sweet Daddy or something. They had
Yeah.
a whole lot of Egyptian artifacts. If y'all ever go back and watch that movie, inside this plantation house, the pictures, the statues, I pay attention to little details like that. So if y'all ever see it again, just pay attention. But yeah, Jamie went to go get her, and she spoke it in the movie, but she spoke English, but she actually spoke her native tongue was it was German.
German. Now, the crazy part about the German part, real quick, is that Jamie Foxx is not speak. He don't speak German. Jamie Foxx don't speak German. The white guy that he's rocking with, who's helping him free her, he speaks more German than him. He actually can talk to her in German, as you see in the movie, and Jamie Foxx can't speak in German. But that's his wife. That's the one he's trying to do all the. He's doing all this helping the doctor. I'm gonna go into other things. The doctor in the joint in the movie, right? Who speaks German. Just think about it. Pale skin, and there's a dark skinned woman, and she speaks German too in this time frame in the narrative, right? And she's a slave. She's on a plantation, as people talk about in history. And she obviously German is a European. She's dark skinned. She's speaking European as like that's her culture, everything. You know what I mean? But now at the same time, Jamie Foxx is not the same thing as her. Like clearly, people have to look at this. If you watch that movie, like you see that difference. And even Samuel Jackson, the Honest Engine, he's not the same as Jamie Foxx. And then also you got the Mandinkos, who on the plantation are wrestling, poking people's eyes out and stuff. You feel me? And they're not the same as Samuel Jackson, Jamie Foxx, or the German woman that Jamie Foxx is trying to free. Anybody else watch the joint and tell me I'm tripping? If I'm tripping, tell me I'm tripping. I mean, anybody watched it? You can see that if you watch the movie in context of what they're showing you and the differences of these dark-skinned people and what's going on. Even the plantation homegirls that were there when they came and shot the white boy, they weren't the same as Jamie Foxx. You know what I'm saying? They were like, okay, thank you, but who are you still? We don't know who you is. So it's like, come on now, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God, you feel me? The movie showing you this shit. I'm just want to make sure. A library, you sparked, so I want to make sure everybody got that real quick though. And all these images. Shout out to your Instagram, and it's underneath the same name you have here, or on your link, correct? A library for us, right?
Yes.
Same way you on Clubhouse, Instagram, and where else can people find you?
Yeah, Clubhouse, Instagram, Twitter, and also YouTube. I do intend to put a lot of my builds on YouTube. I haven't quite started, but for right now, primarily, I'm active on Twitter, Instagram, and Clubhouse. And again, A Library for Us is where you can find me.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate you. Out of Detroit, right? You still in Detroit?
Yes. Yep. I'm originally from Detroit. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so hey, Shay, y'all need to get together. Y'all out of Detroit. Y'all both out of Detroit. You know what I'm talking about? Ladies.
Definitely, yes.
Y'all need to link up.
And it's just funny. I didn't even know A Library for Us was from Detroit. I take that back because I think you did mention it in the room once.
Yeah, it's just funny how that worked out today.
Right.
That shit crazy. Detroit, yeah, I didn't know it either though. I ain't gonna lie.
Detroit real heavy in the building today.
Yeah.
Detroit, y'all heavy on me right now. Detroit woman in the building. All right, dude. Area codes like Ludacris and shit. All right, so now I'm gonna show a source real quick. After that, you know what I mean? I appreciate both y'all ladies for getting with us tonight. Hopefully I can get y'all both, like you said, Shay. The next time you come, you want to show the other side of things and the time and how we do it. And I'll obviously invite you back. A library. I'm gonna call you the library. You know what I'm saying? Because Autonomous Party, lady librarians are obviously what men would like to see when they walk in trying to get information. So I think this is a great matchup with what you got going on. We can talk about a lot of things.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate
so much. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for extending this invitation. And the last thing I'll say before we move on now is this picture that I have up right now are Black Scottish people in South Carolina. You guys may already know that there
Yes,
was
we
a
do.
large Scottish settlement in North Carolina, and that bled over into South Carolina as well. And this picture was taken in 1862. So I wanted to make sure people, saw what these Black, Scottish, and Irish looked like. Because again, this is a hidden history. Okay. So I put that picture there, and then
That's a
within
hard
this
picture.
slide, because a lot of people say, oh, phenotype doesn't
Geology.
matter. Yeah, and
What
I
is that? What is
honestly think it does matter because it helps you identify certain groups of people. And really quick, if you scroll through this slide, you'll see this is a record from the government archives I found of a runaway slave who was a Scottish. Him and his wife, they were dark complexion. As you can see, it reads that they still spoke with their Scottish dialect. So for the people who believe that Black Scottish did not exist in this country and they were not slaves, this is proof right here, and it's in the government archives. They were runaways. They were described, again, as dark complexion, also ruddy. What they were wearing was also described. They were wearing leather and coats and belts. So there's this idea that people that were enslaved looked a very particular way, or they were wearing rags, and that's not always the case, right? But one of the most important things about this is that they spoke with their Scottish dialect, and it shows the ship they came off of and who was the captain of the ship. So if you research ship Molly, you can find a lot of other Black Scottish that came off that ship and they landed in Maryland. Okay. So these particular people who ran away, they had just got here 6 months before they ran away. Now, if you scroll over even further.
Hey, library. I gotta stop you. You're
I'm
dropping so
sorry.
much dope right now. No, don't say sorry. That shit a lot of dope. You dropped a lot of dope on me right now. Hold on. Now check me out though. All right, so boom. Everything you just said, right? I wanted to echo the dialect of the Scottish that I know of is Gaelic coming out of Irish, Scottish areas. You know what I mean? Like some people like to say that's English, Old English. But Gaelic is tied to English, especially out of Scottish and Irish. Have you found anything connected to that? Just being honest, you found anything? Am I tripping?
I'm
Is
sorry.
anything?
Anything connected to Gaelic and English?
Yes. Have you found anything with the Scottish Swarthy people who are speaking their dialect in the in Carolinas? What was the dialect that they were speaking that, or what was connected to their dialect, or the pidgin language that's mixed? Have you found anything else outside of that you're presenting to us right now? I'm
A
just
lot of
curious.
a lot of the times, these records, it reads like they speak with the dialect of that country. So like, for instance, this record, it reads that they were born in Scotland and they speak the dialect of that country.
Uh,
And historically, yeah, that dialect is tied back to Gaelic. And if you notice something, I don't know if you guys made this connection, but I like to study accents, dialects, and make connections. But for instance, ship Molly, a lot of the ships from Scotland came into Maryland, right? And also Virginia, but there was a heavy population of the Scottish being transported to Maryland.
yeah, shout out to
Today,
Fred. Yes, fact.
today, Maryland is the only place that has an accent the way they do. Like the South, the North, we don't speak. When somebody is from Baltimore, right? That
Yep.
is a Scottish accent. The way that they are speaking
Oh,
it sounds so much to like this. If
oh.
you
It's an
Yes,
accent for real. My
that
godmother's from Maryland. See, shout out to her, rest in peace, rest in power. My godmother, shout out to Fred, shout out to Miss Angela too, who's from the same area. Because she remind me, she has the same dialect in my way. How she speaks right now. She sound like my godmother sometimes when I talk to her on Clubhouse. On Clubhouse, I told her straight up, like, you sound like how my godmother, because she had that accent from out of Maryland. You know what I mean? And I used to go to Maryland when I told you I was born in Virginia, so my godmother was out of Maryland. You know what I mean? It happened to be what it is. You know what I mean? So I happen to be, when you're saying it's like real to me, like the accent. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole, just like, anyways, though.
Yeah,
Thank you for that. I
that
appreciate
really
that. That's hot.
that
Yeah,
really
that's hot.
speaks to the saturation of those Scottish that ended up in Maryland, because that their influence was so heavy because of how many were there, and saturated in these small counties and whatnot, that you can still hear it today in the way that people of Maryland speak. And when you study the way the Scottish speak, when you study that Gaelic kind of accent and that sound, you can hear it in the people of like Baltimore and whatnot. And the same thing with Jamaican patois. You study the Irish dialect, the Irish accent,
Yep, that's Gaelic
the
too.
words they use. Yep, you can hear that in the Jamaican patois. You can make that connection, which helps to speak to the truth of what's being said. So yeah,
That's
I
deep.
just want to throw that
That's
there.
deep.
And that's it.
I
And then you
wish we
see,
can go more. I'm gonna bring you back for this one because that Carolina drop you just dropped with the Scottish in Carolinas. I could do some things with that. We can go somewhere with these pictures and sources that we got for this. You know what I mean? I got one more joint. I want to show that real quick. Let me show my joint real quick. And after that, I appreciate everybody that pulled up tonight for the bill. Shout out both of y'all ladies tonight that pulled up and expressed and showed what you showed. Either way, thank y'all ladies for Miss Shay. First to you, Miss Shay. Thank you very much for coming on. Before I read
You're
anything,
welcome.
I thank you very much for pulling up on us tonight. A Library, thank you too. You know what I mean? I hope both y'all ladies can pull up on me again with these kind of conversations. You know what I'm saying?
oh yes, definitely. Thank you. I mean, I definitely have a lot more information to share, especially on those Black Europeans. So yeah, I'll definitely be back.
For sure. This joint right here, Charles W. Chestnut, Free Colored People of North Carolina. Since you said the Carolinas, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, alley oop, man, I'm coming down the court. Slide up real quick, bro. Can you make it a little bit bigger for the folk, just in case, I ain't gonna be able to read the small little words they got there. I'm trying to tell you, my phone and my iPad and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm being lazy. But I'm gonna have to go ahead and get a laptop too. I'm being lazy though. Because I ain't no technical dude. I like to use small gadgets and shit, but it's not working. My eyes fucking with me. Inside of this joint though, it's talking about North Carolina, and obviously you see free people of color. Shout out to Open Me Eye, and he covered that state. You know what I mean? It's no coincidence that Maryland is obviously what she just talked about is tied to this time frame. You're gonna make it a little bit bigger for me, though. I don't want everybody to see it because I can't read it. God, you hear me? Make it a little bit, make it a little bit big because I can't read that. I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna. Yeah. We're gonna type right. We're gonna type right. Yeah. All right. So again, Charles W. Chestnut. Chestnut. Pause. It's also Indian red. That color. They in the crayon box. It used to be Indian red, but then they made it chestnut in your crayon box. This is a coincidence. However, that's maroon. Shout out to my maroons out there. Yeah, I ain't gonna get. I'm gonna look at the toaster that bit. Grandma, yeah. In our generalization upon American history, and it talks about American people. I mean, just show them the source because I ain't gonna read through this whole thing right now. Let them get the whole thing. It's too much to go into. We're gonna have to bring it up because we don't have time because it's not gonna do justice. You know what I'm saying? But I want to present just the source that we know, and you can go look it up. You know what I mean? The Charles W. Chestnut and the Free Colored People of North Carolina. I already showed you power times, right? You see that, right? I'm showing the Carolinas. See, people think I'm biased. I ain't gonna be biased. I'm in the library with library. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in there. I'm digging the crates because we ain't gonna leave no rock unturned. Because faith without work is dead. You feel me? On the plane of action. So we got to make it happen. You feel me? The hospitality is live life autonomously. You dig? Shout out to the party. We understand that all these things got to correlate based off your genealogy and that DNA thing they try to tell us that's not active. I mean, she's the witness, Miss Shay, pun intended, but she showed it. So don't be mad at me because I ain't do it. So I can't cap and say, "Oh, Mac, well, you did you?" I didn't do it, but she's here now, and I'm gonna let the lady go first. That's how they say it to do, right? She did it, and now this is what she's showing on what that means. And when she come back, I'm gonna let her prove also. And I'm standing on what I heard her say on Clubhouse. So when she bring it back, just like we go, any of the people I can bring up on this app that know me, we don't cap on here, that can show me their genealogy knows, kind of relates to some of the things that we've heard tonight. You know what I'm saying? For those who are 100% whatever you might be, you're a rarity, and you're a blessed person. Macarios to you. I don't know how that works and how your people did, and if you upholding the traditions today as colored folk, bless you. From an indigenous standpoint, we're going to, I said standpoint like Newport, right? Like Newport. Same city, bad news. We smoke Newports. The standpoint of how that whole culture of our people today, free people of color, there's a lot of things that's dimensionally involved. You know what I mean? That's why we're very unique. That's the Luciano Macario. You know what I'm saying? And we have to really look at the like a time frame to cover our unique mixture of people that fall underneath these records and stuff we're finding with various groups of people that are swarthy, tawny, copper colored, you know what I mean? Black, Negro, all these different terms you're finding in different backgrounds too. We're gonna leave it there though. Again, I can't go into all these sources at one time. We working it out though. We trying to work out the time to break it down in pieces and present it to you on our network. That's like how Opie Mija is doing with the Free Person of Color series. That's why you need to tap into it. What Tecumseh is doing, shout out to Tecumseh, dropping the dialogue series, and we involved, but people are highlighted for what they do, they work in. We put them, they got to go first. Shout out to them for putting that work out, you know what I'm saying? And everybody else too that's come on our channel, such as A. Library, Miss Shay, and the various ways they're going about doing the work to find out for themselves what's truth and what's not when it comes to them, or on a general level we're talking about tonight, dealing with free people of color on the Solstice weekend. You feel me? Ladies first. Miss Shay, before we get out of here, if you want to say anything before we go. You there, Miss Shay? We get out
I'm
of here.
here. You was going in and out. It was freezing. Maybe it could be my computer. We just had a bad rainstorm. Okay. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone, the chat. I definitely want to come back because I do have more information as well. And also, I just want to say that y'all have permission to share what I shared today. I want to get the word out. I want people to, it could be a talking point or whatever, because these DNA tests is, they not giving out accurate information.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, everybody got permission.
That.
I want us to get people more involved, more talking. We got to, connect more of the dots to understand what really truly happened. And we got to be honest with who we are, who's in our family, white, black, or whoever. We just got to be honest, because if we not go never really be able to put the pieces to the puzzle together. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate everybody, and I definitely will be back.
Thank you, Miss Shay. Shay Pank in the building, though. Detroit. I got two ladies from Detroit in the building. That's crazy, though. I ain't even planned it that way. I promise y'all, I didn't know that when I came up. When I thought about it, I was like, I might have heard it. Maybe, and that's my fault. We hear a lot of things on Clubhouse, so I can't remember everything verbatim. But yeah, now I remember. Yeah, they both out of Detroit in the building, though. A Library. Before we get out of here, is anything you want to say? Thank you again for pulling up on us. Am I breaking up? Go ahead.
Yes. I'm sorry. Can you
you
hear
good?
me?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. Yeah, I just want to say, yes, thank you again for extending the invite. I love the information that you guys share. I enjoy being in your rooms. It's always good information, straight intellectual build. And yeah, I look forward to the next one. I did want to share one last source. I don't know if I can pull it up on the screen or not.
Guess you pull it up real quick. Yeah, you got one more real quick you want to share before we get out of here.
Okay, perfect.
Uh-oh.
I
Yeah.
wanted to share a Stewart really quick because we're talking about the Black Europeans, and I find it interesting that she looks like Harriet Tubman, who we know was a Stewart. So it's kind of ironic that this woman is a Stewart, and you can find her in the Stewart Clan book as well. You can also find her name in the government archived newspapers, Flora Stewart. And what's interesting about her, she also had a very strong connection too with the governor and everything during this time. But there were some Stewarts that came to Virginia from Scotland, and they demanded that she be freed. And I thought it was very interesting because I think she was maybe enslaved by mistake, but because of her bloodline, she was freed. So I definitely want to, touch on bloodlines, how important they are, and Stuart bloodline in particular, and how a lot of these Stuarts that came here, such as Harriet, um, they were awarded certain things, and a lot of times not even enslaved, even though the history they tell us is that they were enslaved. But you'll find that with a lot of these Black Europeans, they obviously changed their name so that you don't know who they are. Hence Harriet Tubman, and shout out to Lee Cummings for the Negro Questionnaire number 6, where he breaks down Harriet Tubman's lineage. But I thought it was just important to show this piece here as well. And I have a whole thread on these Black European women, such as this one here, Sojourner Truth, who is a Dutch woman, or who was Dutch. She actually didn't learn English until the age of 10. But yeah, this thread also shows you what these people look like, so you can differentiate kind of who's who. And I know today a lot of people are mixed up, but these phenotypes are still very prevalent. And again, I know people say phenotypes don't really matter today, but to me they do, because it helps you identify a group of people. So I just wanted to end with that. And again, thank you so much for extending the invitation. I look forward to the next live.
No, appreciate y'all. Appreciate both y'all. That's why I think this is crazy how it worked out. I mean, that's why we want, like we said earlier in the clubhouse, we don't be hiding away, just be on YouTube. I mean, we come out on the streets and we got people around the nation, I should say. And we give the opportunity to tap into what we be presenting, and obviously between the agreements to disagreements from their perspectives. So could we try to make sure we can be as accurate as possible when we self-identify and the ethnogenesis of what's going on today, and how we want to make sure we cover all the people who have been disenfranchised or marooned, you know what I mean, in the situation of what we're trying to cover underneath the free person of color, and understand our indigenous rights to how we can move in an autonomous manner, knowing our ancestry and what's tied to what we finding on all the doctrines we're looking up tonight. So after that, you know what I mean, I appreciate you. I appreciate Miss Shay. Tapping everybody. A matter of fact, you sent Lee Cummings. Actually, a couple weeks ago, he was supposed to be on a show, and something happened, and I let him tell his story. But we gonna have him. That's the plan for next week Sunday. Actually, Lee Cummings is pulling up on us to make up for it. Usually we do Aboriginal Wall Street every first Sunday. If you don't know, we do this is a podcast live show. We do every first Sunday, Aboriginal Wall Street, economics and politics for Aboriginal, indigenous, and obviously with the mixtures involved, free persons of color of America and North America, obviously. And we understand that in the manner of what we're not only on a cultural, social level, trying to show and explain and present information-wise, but at the same time show what we need to be doing today to aggregate in a manner of network on a political economic level. So that's what Aboriginal Wall Street is about. .com, by the way, that's a plug, wink wink. That But still, next week, Sunday, Lee Cummings is going to pull up on us. Everything works out right. We're going to make it for when he didn't get to show up on the show. We don't like to misrepresent something and not do it. You know what I mean? So we're going to keep our words, what we say we're trying to do. And things work out how it work out. If it's not in our power, it's not in our power. We do what we got to do to make it happen on the plane of action. You hear me, guy? Because the harsh reality is live life autonomously, you dig? So tap in with us next week, Sunday. And then after that, though, the next Sunday after that, we give you a full warning. We ain't going to be here. They'll give you a pre-warning. So next week, Sunday, Lee Cummings, after that, we taking a break. And then we're going to tell you what's happening after that, because it's summertime. And, we a podcast, we live, MissMiaLounge.com. And everybody that tapped in, 954-561-305 and everything else. And around the nation, internationally, especially. Everybody that tapped in, what we're doing every time we tap in. Appreciate you. You hear me? Like, subscribe, share. And, you already know, Patreon. We do got that set up for our vault and library and different things we have internally inside of our social organization. And everybody that knows, you know what I mean? We got a lot of sources. At the same time of in a library, again, that's why we brought her on here. I think she a lady, keeps up with these sources and can present them as you see she did tonight. That's why, we having conversations with people we know like-mindedly, show some things, like we can show some things you did. Appreciate the conversation tonight, ladies. I hope y'all have a good afternoon, evening, night, and I hope to see y'all soon. And again, tap in with us, y'all. Thank y'all, ladies. Y'all have a good night. Got a green.
Thank
Pull
you.
up, man.
Have a good one.
Appreciate y'all. For real. Nothing but love. Shout out to the matriarch and the matrilineal lines of people that tapping into this information. Get it and apply it to yourself. Find out what you need to find out. Because, a lot of things been hidden from the woman, especially how this patrilineal and patriarchal systems have been set up to keep certain things hidden from what, our ancestry. Because, see, on our side of the tree, men and women have things in common, such as I got a mom and dad, and they both got mom and dads. You feel me? And et cetera, like how math works. You know what I mean? So we got to keep it real. We got to be honest about them lines with the mama and dad included. Old birth of nations, mother and father, how be thy name. I'm gonna give you the Marana, the prayer in a minute soon. Trust me. If I could right now, I'll play some of that. Wasn't that Barry White right now? Well, I play some Barry White right now with the orchestra bit. Ooh, it's a Freddie Gibbs. Hey, here we got. That's my remix. Shout out to Blaze. Hey, matter of fact though, shout out to Try Biz, man. If we got here, we gonna highlight Try Biz, man, because they got the All Story joint, 1968. You know what I'm saying? They got a documentary series going out right now. And shout out to me. They highlighted me on it. And I'm saying a lot. I gotta give a plug to them. And I appreciate the love. And they handle their business, when it comes to documenting and putting out the effort to put the work out, dealing with our people and what happened. So, as we highlighted this, shout out to Chief Cali. He does music and certain things too. So we're going to play one of his videos and we're going to play a little clip of the newest series of the documentary, right? And we're going to get out of here. Tap in this with us for next week, you heard? Yeah, play the music video. Give him the music first, because we want to end on it. No, matter of fact, no, you're right. Should we do the documentary 1968 joint first? Do that first. And we're gonna end out on the music. That's how we're gonna do it. Keep it real. So we live though. Any reason in the front though. Appreciate everybody that tapped in. Next week Sunday. That's on 4th of July. That's 4th of July, right? Going into 4th of July. Oh, it's like the weekends be bomb in the summer, ain't it? They don't give you no breaks. All pedal, you heard me? No gas, you heard me? Go ahead and play. Let's ride.
1968, Indian civil rights. Now, when we met last, we were introduced to some of those Americans that I told you would be featured throughout various episodes of season 1 of this docuseries, presenting information that would help many of you watching get a new or possibly a better understanding of exactly what season 1 of this docuseries is all about. Now, for those of you who took that mental note, tucked it away safely, and kept it inside of your mental stash box when I made this mention previously, then you can recall me stating that yes, although we are highlighting the year of 1968, the Civil Rights Movement, and also the leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., if you just sit back, relax, and hopefully allow us, as creators of this docuseries, keep our promise to you, the youth, the parents, the viewers of this presentation, and do as we said we would, which is give our best effort at walking you very slow through each specific topic of information assigned to each specific episode of this docuseries. By the time we make it to the end of the road of season 1, as I stated once before, many of you who will get the understanding that the whole time you were watching this, it never fully was about the Civil Rights Movement or even Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it had everything to do with those people. Those people of the Civil Rights Movement who were fighting right alongside Dr. Martin Luther King for the rights of Indians. And then suddenly came up missing after the assassination of Dr. King. Right. Yes. Those people who at one point in their lifetime identified on this land amongst each other as Americans. Not only Americans, but American Indians. Before they were reclassified to such names as colored, Negroes, blacks, and African Americans. Well, if y'all are ready, then I'm ready. Let's jump back into our story.
You gotta tap in. Go to Our Story 1968 on YouTube. Tap in with Tribe Biz. They set up a whole channel for that. So you go watch that documentary, you know what I mean? We're gonna highlight, you know what I mean? I'm there, but they got a lot of other people there too, along with the production they've done. And I think it's something that you need to support if you're into this information, especially how they've been going about doing it. And the sources are there, like how we do our sources here. And you need to tap into this information, especially if you say you have American Indian, Aboriginal, indigenous, ancestry, First Nation people. But as we showed you other copper-colored people that came here and mixed in with those people, it does not change who you are as far as your lineage, as we showed you tonight, the ladies have presented tonight. We got to stop fighting about that too. So we're going to stand on the side of autonomy as far as our people. But at the same time, the indigenous side is what Just Soleil and Just Sanguin is all about. I should say Just Sanguin. That's indigenous, First Nation people. Just Soleil, that's also dark-skinned people that came here prior to 1775. It's first Sunday of the summer, as they call it, based off the solstice, right, God? So tap in with us. You already know what it is. We taking a couple breaks, though. We already told you the lineup. We got going things, but, we'll get back to you. And then the fall, we got some things planned. That's why we, in real time, we got other things going on, so we keep it real. Try to meet in the lounge and stuff we got to do. We got stuff we got to go, maintain and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're going to play a quick little. All right, then. We got some more shit we're going to play for you next time we pull up on you next week. So we're going to keep it that simple. Because you got to agree with the production right. I'm trying to tell y'all. I got background. All right, niggas. All right, then. Peace, y'all. Next week, Sunday, tap in.